Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome in. The long 7-day wait is over because it is time once again for the Dungeon of the Doctors of Doom Fantasy Football Podcast. Allow me to introduce our staff. I am your host, Dr. Alexander the Shark Sparks, PhD. My right-hand man on the mic is, of course, Dr. Mitchell Black, DMD. And our squad would not be complete without our handy producer, Nurse Vinny. Oh, wait, that's right. He's not here today because he's golfing. Well, hold on, Alex. It's okay that he's golfing, right? Because you said he was courting this bigwig that owns a professional soccer team, and you guys would be so cool as the official podcast of a Bundesliga team. That's what he's doing, right? That's who he's golfing with? Nope, that's on Sunday. He's just randomly golfing on a Wednesday afternoon, and it ran late, so he's not here. So, yeah. So, Mitch, say hello to all the Delvers out there exploring the depths of the dungeon this week, since you're the only one here with me.
Hello, do we have like sponsors that find him, or like some HR company or something that we can complain to, and it'll step in and he'll have like a miserable week having to deal with him?
Right, I mean, I feel like he's taken way too much PTO this year, to be honest with you. I mean,
this
is episode 53 and he's missed like a quarter of them, I feel like.
Yeah.
Compared to me and you, that I think you've missed maybe one, and obviously I haven't missed any because I can't. I record it. But anyway, this is a fantasy football podcast, so naturally we're going to start talking about another sport for the third week in a row. Mitch, you probably know which story I'm going with, but if not, you can go ahead and throw it out there.
Cricket?
Yes, cricket, 100%. Or the Dallas Mavericks have finally pulled the trigger and fired Nico Harrison in what is quite frankly a desperate attempt to win back the fan base. The Lakers, who are currently without LeBron James, I might add, he is not playing. They're the number 2 team in the West on the back of Luka, who's been balling out, while the hapless Mavs are dead last. Technically, they're a half game out of last, but I'm rounding. Dead last in the West. So, we talked about kind of at length the Luka Dončić for Anthony Davis trade when it first happened. It didn't make sense then, and now here it is playing out where Luka is absolutely killing it in LA. LA is now a super relevant team, whereas the Mavericks are just a joke without Luka. So I have 2 questions for you. The first one is, do you think Nico would have been fired if the Mavs' record was a little better if Anthony Davis could actually stay healthy? Because, I mean, he's always hurt. Anthony Davis, his entire career has been hurt. He got hurt last year since he joined the Mavericks after the first half that he played with us. And he got hurt. He's missed multiple games already this season. We're only 11 games in. So question 1 is, do you think if the Mavs were, say, a 500 team right now, would he still have his job?
Yeah, see, 90% of the conspiracy theories I bring up, I don't actually truly believe. I just like talking about them because I like the debate, and I like making people uncomfortable. But the thing that gets me is if you go linear, like you can't just trade what's his name, Luka, without owners' approval. I don't care what anyone says. There's no way the owners would call up the owners and be like, "Hey, I don't approve this," and they would negate it. Like, you have to have owners' approval. I'm sure David Silver even called up the owners after and was like, "Are you guys sure you're approving off on this Luka Dončić trade?" And they're like, "Yes." So if the owners, we're assuming here that the owners were okay with it all along, I think Nico is just a fall guy. You have to have someone be the fall guy. As the owners of the Mavs and you just bought the team or whatever, you don't want to be the instant bad guys of, when everyone loved Cuban before that. So you have kind of a high bar. And now all of a sudden you want to rebuild the zoning rights for the airport and the gambling casino and all blah, 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 right? So you don't want to be the bad guy. And if you truly don't think Luka's worth the money, you need someone to be a fall guy. I think Nico Harris would have been fired sooner if they didn't get the first pick with what's his name? Flag. What's his name? Sorry.
Yeah, Cooper Flag. You had it.
Cooper Flag. Thank you. Yeah. So I think he would have been fired sooner and taken his fall. Now, the conspiracy part of all this comes into no one does this by accident, and the owners aren't just like, "Hey, you traded Luka," and the fans had a massive backlash that we didn't realize was going to happen. I don't buy that. I think if I were an owner, you'd have complete control over this, and what I would do is I'd be like, Nico, we're going to offer you so much money under the table to be the bad guy. Are you willing to be the bad guy? Okay, what do I have to do for this money? You have to trade Luka. Oh crap. And then they win the lottery or whatever. That saved his job, I think, a little bit longer to see like, oh, it did kind of work out because it put us enough lottery balls in and we got lucky and won the lottery. And so look how it's turning out. So they kind of kept him a little bit longer. So I'm on the opposite boat. Is I think this kind of seems now in hindsight all along that Nico was told this was going to happen, and eventually, you're going to have to take the fallout.
Yeah, so that kind of leads into my second question, which is, do you think this move, firing Nico, will actually make a difference to the fans? Now, fans have been calling for his head for months now, and yeah, they finally got it. I mean, people were boycotting, protesting. They had special exit stairs rolled out to where his seats are in the stadium, so he could escape games quicker and not go through the crowd, because that's how hated this guy was.
Yeah.
But the question is, it doesn't change the fact that Dirk and Cuban handed the torch to Luka and the new ownership, and the new ownership blew it out. Luka's now with a conference rival, and there's quite frankly no hope on the horizon for the Mavs. It's not like yeah, we're bad now, but once Davis comes back, we'll be good. Well, I mean, Davis and LeBron weren't doing much in LA, and now look what Luka's doing by himself in LA. Imagine what happens when LeBron comes back. The team's only going to be better. Like, I just, even if Davis can stay healthy, which is a huge if, like, he's never going to have the impact that Luka had.
Yeah, and that's the other part I was going to say too is like, as a person who watches, like, I don't even necessarily call myself an NBA fan anymore. I definitely know the NBA, but I don't miss Laker games. It's just kind of a habit that I've had forever, right? I just don't really miss them. And in the NBA nowadays, again, I don't watch a ton of other teams' regular season games, but it doesn't seem like there are very many impactful players in the sense that they make the rest of your team better. Like, there's a lot of players who can go out there and volume shoot and put up 22 points or whatever, but there aren't very many players that could play that point forward system and make the rest of your team better. Luca really does seem like a guy who is ripple affecting the rest of his team. But and back to your basis of your question is, you need to have some kind of blood, right? You need to have like, if the fans are angry, like, you have to have someone who's like the physical embodiment bad guy. So yeah, like, I do think your question was like, like, is it the fans happier? Yeah, someone has to be held accountable for that trade, even if it's not entirely Nico's fault, as I'm implying. At least if I was a hardcore Mavs fan, I could just be like, F Nico, let's move on now. You know what I mean? It's like he's the one we got to crucify, for lack of better words.
Yeah.
And then now we're moved on, type of thing. So yeah, I think it does help.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, yeah, I'm sure it'll help a little bit, but yeah, I mean, I know, like, I still hold them accountable. Like, I mean, like you said, I think Cuban set the bar so high. Mavs had some of the cheapest ticket costs in the NBA, not because Dallas is a cheap city, but just because he wanted to do that for fans. They had some of the cheapest concessions in the NBA. Again, not because the food there is bad. Well, I mean, maybe it is. I don't know. But it's because he wanted to make it accessible for fans. He wanted people to be able to bring their families and enjoy the game of basketball. And I heard he gave an interview this week with Stephen A. Smith where he was saying he tried to put it in his contract when he sold the team that he could be a part of these kind of big negotiations and trade negotiations, and the NBA would not let him. They made him remove it from the contract, saying if he wanted that to be part of the conditions of the sale of the team, he would have to get a different contract for like a job offer to be like, employed by the team. And he said the whole point of him selling it was he could spend more time with his kids and not have a job. And he said that was his biggest regret, because this never would have happened if he could have been involved. That's what he said.
You want to hear something wild that, like, NBA kind of buries because they don't want to be, like, going back to the bar set by Cuban. He had 330 employees that worked for him under staff at the all the way down to concessions people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Apparently there's 330. When he sold the team, he added $35 million of his own money plus shares that he got from the Adelson and Dumont families from selling the team. And he made 300 out of the 330 millionaires. So if you worked for Mark Cuban while Mark Cuban owned the team, he left. He didn't just leave and take his money. He left and made 300 employees millionaires. Now it raises the question, what did those other 30 employees do to be on his bad side? But that, you say the bar is so high, this guy sold a team and made all his employees, 300 people, millionaires. Talk about wanting to work for Mark Cuban and any other future endeavor that he decides to go on. Any employee is going to, like, he's going to have so many employees trying to work for him. Like, I've never heard of something like that. And rather that being like front page news all across America and the sports world and everything, it gets buried because the other NBA owners don't want that to become like the bar. You know what I mean? The
Yeah.
greed or whatever. So no, when I read that story the first time, I was like, wait a second. There was a story like they interviewed one of the person who ran one of the concession stands. Don't get me wrong, he did well financially or whatever, but he had like 5 or 6 employees. You know, the hot dog vendor and the food and the popcorn, the beer and all that kind of stuff. Those 5 guys became millionaires through stocks through the Adelson and Dumont families that Cuban gave to them, and then the owner gave it to some of his, or the concessions owner gave it to some of his other employees. So it like actually trickled down to like legitimate hourly wage workers. That's how hard the bar was set with Cuban. So yeah, I mean, man, it's rough to go from Cuban to these new owners. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, just it would have been a high bar to begin with, but like they basically took the hole they were in, grabbed a shovel, and dug deeper. Is kind of how I feel about it. Like you were already gonna be underwater because Cuban was like, like we said, he was just so loved, for lack of a better term. Like he was so well liked by the city, by the team, by the fan base. So that the fact that you come out and just make things so much worse right away, you're just gonna have such a big uphill battle trying to win back any kind of what's the word?
Yeah,
Any kind of
favor.
Yeah, favor's not the word. I can't think of the word. Equity with the fan base. I don't know. I couldn't quite think of the word, but yeah, it's going to be an uphill climb for sure. All right, yeah, I wanted to break out the Mavs talk there. We'll see. I mean, look, there's always the world where Anthony Davis finally gets healthy and the Mavs go on a run, and Luka gains 100 pounds and isn't any good, but I don't see that happening. I don't think that's what's going to happen. But
Also, we've had more time to watch just speaking of the Lakers real quick, because you asked this question, I think, I don't know, a year ago or something like that on our podcast, and you said, how would the Lakers fans feel about Bronny without LeBron there? Well, I'm pretty sure we're going to find out that answer next year, and I'll be willing to bet anyone the Lakers do not have a roster spot for Bronny once LeBron's gone. I wasn't sure when you asked that question a year or two ago, and I was kind of like, or a year and a half ago, and I was kind of like, that's a great question. And I gave you the answer that like, hey, Bronny is kind of like a Lakers thing, like a Lakers royalty thing. Like, we just leave it to the Lakers. The rest of the league, who cares? Like, who we have as our 12th man. That was my answer. And then you're like, well, what happens when LeBron leaves? I was like, that's a great question. So I've thought about that for many months or whatever. I would lie to you if I said it didn't happen to pop in my head when I'm watching a Laker game or whatever. And Bronny has not improved. There's so many other prospects. So to answer your question to that, we'll bring it, going back to Lakers is once LeBron's gone next year, Bronny will be gone too.
yeah, I think so too. I mean, it would have been one thing if Bronny, developed himself and made himself appear to be like a decent player, like even like a role player or something.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen anything up to this point that makes me think that, oh yeah, Bronny's going to be
A pro.
a,
Yeah, he's
a
not.
professional basketball player. So,
No.
which and like that's no shade to Bronny. I mean, he had
For sure.
huge
I was
shoes to
just
fill.
following up the question that we've had on our post. That's all.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. All right.
No shade whatsoever. He's not a problem to the team whatsoever either. So there definitely doesn't deserve to be any shade. All right, moving on.
Okay. Yeah, moving on. So let's talk some football news. We just talked about firing, so we'll keep it in the firing department. We kind of talked about this off air earlier this week, but Giants fired head coach Brian Daboll. Do you think it was justified, and do you think it will stunt Dart's development? Now, Vinny is the one who argued the other side of this with me in our chat. Unfortunately, he's not here, so I'll let you give your opinion, and then I'll give mine, and we'll see if we agree or not.
Yeah, we had this discussion a couple of times, and you always were saying like the Giants don't fire, and they don't. And I was shocked that he stayed this long. It's week 12 or week 11 or whatever. I think I posed it like around week 5, 6, or 7 or whatever. So I'm not even right on this. I'm shocked that after you've seen the last month and a half of the way the Giants have performed, Like, unless you're going to blame Neighbors, Dart, and Scattaboo and the other defensive guy, I forget his name, their injuries on how he runs the team, I don't know. I'm not behind closed doors, so I can't speak to that. But if you don't attribute injuries to him and how he manages the team, I don't understand how you fire him now. And I'm the person who is saying he has to be fired. And then I said, beginning of the season, I said, he's going to bring in, Russ is going to be benched first, and they're going to bring in Dart early because that's going to tie to his job. I said the same thing with Stefanski in Cleveland. Flacco wasn't even going to get the starting job, but I was wrong about that too. He did get the starting job for like 3 or 4 weeks or whatever until they moved on. Because these coaches tie their job to the next upcoming guy. Why would you fire a Daboll when Dart is doing so well? That makes no sense. Why would you fire, let's say, Shador or Dylan Gabriel came in and was lighting it up, or not lighting it up, just doing well? Why would you fire Stefanski? You wouldn't do that. So you want to bring in these guys earlier than later. So he did bring him in pretty much earlier than later and still got fired. So I don't, this is a long rant of, I don't know. Like,
So I
I
think
thought for sure he kept his job in the last month. If you asked me, I would have put money down that says, "No, Daboll's fine. He just won his job for at least one more year."
no, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think it comes down to Dart's injury. It wasn't just that he got injured; it's how he got injured and what's been happening. So yes, Dart has been playing well. Daboll's been working with him. It seems like he's developing. Like that's great. And obviously some injuries are freak accidents that are unfortunate. With the case of Scattaboo running hard and Neighbors going down. I think maybe you don't blame those on Daboll, but I think they're going to blame this one on him. And the reason for that is Jackson Dart has only been a starter for a few games now. He's been in concussion protocol 4 times already. Now, he cleared it multiple times. I think we talked about on the show where he high-fived that referee. Like,
Yeah.
the ref was not asking for a high five. He was marking a man down. He was clearly concussed. They let him go back in. So he's gone in protocol 4 times already, and then Daboll's out here still calling designed runs. And, like, yes, I get that he needs to be able to run and use his legs, but, like, when you have a guy who, quite frankly, doesn't know yet how to properly protect himself while running, you need to take better care of him by not calling running plays for him. So you're out here calling a running play on a guy who doesn't know how to protect himself, and now he gets yet another injury that puts him not just in the protocol, but actually out with a concussion. And it's like, this is the first time he was diagnosed with a concussion. I would bet money this is not the first concussion he's had this year. Like I said, the game where he high-fived that referee, you can't tell me he wasn't concussed.
So basically, if he doesn't go and check on that, I know the optics looked really bad when he like went into the blue tent when he was in concussion protocol, Dart, and he like went in there and was like basically like get the F back on the field or whatever. Like, so it's like a lot of optics, right? Or is it actually how he is as a coach?
I mean, it could be, but again, it's not Daboll's fault that Jackson Dart doesn't know how to protect himself while running the ball, and sometimes accidents happen, but as the coach, it is your job to teach him how to run the ball properly, and until you do, it's your job to protect him from what's going to happen to him. So, like, even though, yes, it makes your team better, if I know my franchise, because this is their franchise, right? This is their future, and quite frankly, it's the best quarterback they've had since, like, peak Eli Manning, right? Like,
Right.
So it's like this is the first good quarterback they've had in a long time, and again, there were a lot of Eli Manning years that were not peak. So like even counting half of the Eli Manning career, it's been a minute since they've had a good quarterback. They finally have someone who seems like a good quarterback. It's like all you need to do is keep him safe until he's ready to do everything on his own. So it's like you have to be like, hey, even though running the ball might help our team win this game, we're not competing for anything this year. Let's keep him safe. I'm not going to call this designed run until he shows me he knows how to run the ball without taking hits that he's not supposed to take.
Yeah,
right?
See, the other thing I'd say is this is what I had the debate 2 years ago with Vinny. It would be nice if you were here, Vinny.
Yeah.
How much of the RPO, and I had this debate with Hertz and Kellen Moore, our play calling. They have to call an RPO, but it's a run pass option, hence the word option. You have 3 options on this play, right? And how much is it just in the play? Dart is deciding to keep the ball himself and run, whereas he could have handed off or he could have thrown the option pass. So it's like, this is one of those confusing ones where it's like, what is going behind closed doors to where it's like he's playing the Giants have looked better than they ever have, and this is when you fire. This reminds me of the time where you're like, who was that Raiders coach was like, did the best for you guys, and you're like, all he ever did for us was win, and you guys fired him, and then you guys didn't win after. What was his name?
Tom Cable.
Tom Cable.
Tom
Thank you.
Tom Cable and our quarterback Jason Campbell. We hadn't had a winning season in over a decade. We went 8-8, and then decided to fire both our coach and get rid of our quarterback. It was the dumbest thing.
Yeah, that's what it feels like right now. That's what it really feels like. Is like you guys haven't had. And okay, the other thing I will comment with Jameis Winston starting is Alex, you were about one injury and 10 weeks late of having the greatest fantasy wide receiver ever.
Oh my God, yeah.
Healthy neighbors with Jameis. Oh my good gosh. Yeah, so one injury and 10 weeks late from having the greatest fantasy wide receiver ever. Not even deniable. But yeah, so it's fascinating to me, and I think they're gonna come down to earth. Like who's calling the plays right now? Have they even said?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, with Jameis out there, you just let him grip it and rip it, right? You don't really need to call plays, but no, I get what you're saying, and yeah, it's just, and also like they recognize that part of the problem was Russell Wilson because even though Russell Wilson's not hurt, they're starting Jameis this week, so it's like you recognize that the issue wasn't the play calling, it was the player, right?
Yeah,
but yeah, I don't know.
So apparently, Kafka has helped called plays in 2023 with Dable before Dable completely took it over halfway through 23 and 24, and then 2025. So Kafka hasn't called plays in 3.5 years, 2.5 years, and it's on the Giants. So like you didn't even get a new play caller. Basically, you have like the same guy basically helping call plays. So is this guy really going to be that much different than his guy who is supposed to be his like mentor and teaching it? Like that's what I'm saying is like you didn't like do this at the end of the season. You can probably bring in Kingsbury from the Commanders, or you know what I mean, some highly sought, or Brady from the Bills, or even Lane Kiffin from college or something. You can who would run. Didn't he have Dart in his first?
Yeah,
college?
I mean, I don't think Kiffin wants to leave Ole Miss, but yeah,
But I'm just saying someone who knows how to play the RPO offensive system.
Sure.
That's all I'm trying to say. Like, look what Brady did for the RPO in Allen. Look what Monken did for the RPO past the Greg Roman days in Baltimore. Both Allen and Lamar took massive steps up with an RPO offensive coordinator. So you can bring in some new, look what Kingsbury did for Jaden. And so, like, I'm just saying is wait till the end of the season, and then you go get one of these high-end guys who are willing to take more money and come to Dart neighbors. And I don't know what Scattable's injury is going to be like, but do you know how many OCs would want to come in and be like, I have Dart and neighbors? Like, that's a bigger start than 90% of these OCs start with. So, yeah, it's very confusing to me. I don't think much is going to change in the play calling. What do you think this does for Dart's fantasy value?
Yeah, I mean, I think it hurts the value because, like, obviously he was doing so great with the current play caller, and I do think that whoever does get this job, like, assuming I'm right, and again, this is all assumptions, right? But assuming I'm right, and part of the reason Daboll was fired wasn't because of the Giants' performance, because their performance has been much, much better. It was due to him not keeping Dart safe. That means whoever they bring in is going to be tasked with making sure he keeps Dart safe, which means he'll have to call plays differently, which means it's going to hurt his fantasy value because, as we talked about during this week, he has a rushing touchdown in every game. He actually broke Cam Newton's rookie record for most rushing, like, consecutive rushing TDs as a quarterback or something, and it's like, that's pretty impressive considering how good Cam was and the fact that Dart hasn't even played every game yet this season. There's still half a season left. So I do think it hurts his fantasy value this year, but it may mean that long term, if you're in like a dynasty league, that he's going to have more value if they keep him upright. So we're just going to have to wait and see on that. But I do agree with you. I think this is, as far as job openings go in the offseason, a lot of times there's some really crappy job openings. I think this is a pretty good one. Like if I was a head coach looking for a job of the jobs that we expect to be available in the offseason, this is definitely one of the ones I'd be interested in.
And they're most likely going to hire an offensive coordinator to be their head coach, and then that head coach can go pick out his own offensive coordinator to help him. As opposed to they're not going to go get some defensive guy, and then that defense guy is going to leave the OC. Like Kingsbury's not going to leave the OC of the Commanders to go be the OC of the Giants, right? So it's most likely going to be an offensive coordinator. So yeah, it's very interesting. what the Giants will look like. And then whatever they look like over the next 6 weeks, 7, 8 weeks, or whatever, will look completely different next year. So it's a little frustrating.
And to your point, you brought up Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin is always saying that he's not interested in jobs because there's so many. Every SEC team wants him. There's 3 job openings in the SEC right now already, and they're reaching out to him. It wouldn't surprise me at all if one of the Giants' first phone calls was Lane Kiffin.
Oh, that's what I was saying. Is
Yeah.
like I honestly didn't mean to bring up Lane Kiffin as an actual possibility because look, let's be real.
Well, no, I don't think you're wrong. Like
Oh, okay.
he's a guy who is randomly up and left the team in the middle of the night. Now I feel like he's more entrenched with Ole Miss than he was at the other places he left, but he's definitely a guy who in the past has pulled this before, where he just
Taking
ups
the
and
money.
leaves.
He's
Yeah,
taken the money in the past before. See USC, right? He took the money and left, right? So he did it a couple places, I think, right? And then he do it with Saban and Bama as the OC.
yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, yeah, he's definitely
just,
like Tennessee. I think is where he just up and left as the
oh,
coach.
Tennessee too. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think he's left kind of everywhere he's
yeah.
went. No offense. I mean, he's a great coach, so it's like, but or a great play caller. So it's like, and I think my mind brought him up is because wasn't he the coach of Dart? Or
Yeah,
am
he
I
was.
wrong?
Yeah, Dark came from Ole
Okay,
Miss. Yeah.
so that's what I was just saying. It's just like you can go get an elite RPO type of guy for him next year, and that's going to look completely different than whatever Kafka runs over the next 4 or 6 weeks. So it's like, man, the Giants are like, and then like, where does that put Neighbors in the fantasy? I mean, we could obviously not now, but where does that put Neighbors in the elite? Like with the Justin Jeffersons, the Lambs, the Rices, those guys, JSN, and like, where does that put Neighbors? Because Neighbors was always drafted in that. In our league, you drafted him above Lamb, and I didn't think there was anything wrong with that. I said to you before the season, the only reason that makes me scared is because I thought they were going to fire Dable, and you were like, no, they don't fire Giants coaches. Well, okay, if you like, then I would probably be more inclined to take Neighbors too. So like, where does that? Like, it's just all frustrating now. Like, I just didn't. It's like this reminds me of the Cardinals situation. Is every time I think I have a grasp on what's going on in the Cardinals organization, I don't. Every time I think I have a grasp of what's going on in the Giants, I don't. So who knows? Refer to someone else who has a better idea than I do.
Fair enough. Yeah, and I will say though, one thing I guess I should bring up, like, and I don't think it's his fault because a lot of it has to do with injuries, but like Brian Dable has blown a lot of fourth quarter leads, and that could also be part of this too. It's like it's not that the Giants are losing games; it's how they're losing games. They're very much a team that's like been in a bunch of games, even been leading games, and then blown it in the fourth quarter. Now, again, a lot of times it's because like, oh, we were leading, but then Scottaboo got hurt and we couldn't run out the clock. We were leading and then Dart got hurt and had to put Russell Wilson in there. So like, I get that there's reasons for it, but at the end of the day, you can't consistently blow fourth quarter leads and expect to keep your job. So I think that could be part of it too. I think if Dart doesn't get hurt, he keeps his job. But the combination of Dart getting hurt and they blew yet another big fourth quarter lead, I think they're like, all right, we're going to move on right here. It's a good opportunity to move on. So we'll see. You brought up Malik Neighbors. Speaking of wide
Can I
receiver.
ask a question?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, now that Dable's been fired, who is on the most hot seat? And I can give you like right now, the odds to win Coach of the Year is Mike Vrabel at plus 120. Shane Steichen's plus 145. So it's pretty safe to say that those two are very safe next year, correct? Is that's like the most obvious, like
Yeah,
besides maybe like Sean McVay or Sean Payton or Shanahan, right?
yeah.
Those two, okay. So besides, yeah, who do you think is on the bottom five? Because Dable had plus 1,000 odds, and that's the same as Tomlin has to be fired. Just to throw that out there. People didn't realize that.
Well,
So I
again,
do think this is a
but I
little
think
out
I
of
think
left field.
Dayball's odds wasn't based on performance or expectation. It was based on the fact that historically, like when I say the Giants don't fire coaches, that's because historically they haven't. The NFL's been around for 50 plus years, longer than that, and the Giants don't fire a head coach in the middle of the season, no matter how
Yeah.
bad things are. So like that's why I think those odds were that way. I don't think it was based on like actual
Okay, so to
performance.
win Coach of the Year, five coaches right now have plus 50K, 50,000 odds to win Coach of the Year.
All right, so let's get those five.
Let's get the five. Who do you this? I'm not. I know. I didn't prep you with this question. I apologize. It just kind of came to my head right now, so should have asked this ahead of time. And I'm stalling right now is to give you a minute to kind of think of some coaches. But if you were to think basically the five coaches that aren't going to win the Coach of the Year and are most likely to fired.
Yeah, so I mean, Well, part of it's like I don't know how long some of these coaches have been with the team, right? Like,
Right.
so
I
you
think
know,
one should be obvious in the South, specifically Florida.
well, I was gonna say Jacksonville. Liam Cohen was gonna be my pick for the guy in the hot seat.
Ooh, let's see here. Liam Cohen is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12th best odds to win Coach of the Year at plus 5,000.
Well, yeah, but that's because like that's what it is right now. But like if you go back and you look at some of these games, they've been kind of blowing leads, blowing things. Things have not been going well,
Yeah.
and like I just even the games they win, it's like they beat the Raiders in overtime because the Raiders went for two. That's a
Yeah.
team you should stomp. Like you should curb stomp the hapless Raiders,
That's true.
and you barely beat them.
Last minute overtime.
That
Last
fourth
30
quarter
seconds.
collapse against the Panthers. You know what I mean? Early
Yeah.
on in week 2, like there's a lot of even the games they win. Like you never the London game where they played against the Rams and the Rams beat them like a Cherokee drum. Like just I don't know. There's a lot of games that the Jaguars just aren't in at all,
Yeah.
and I feel like that's to me, in my opinion, feels problematic. So. But yes, I mean, people who aren't going to win the Coach of the Year, like the Browns, right? Like they're terrible. They're not going to win Coach of the Year. The Bengals, they're terrible. They're not going to win Coach of the Year. But that doesn't mean they're on the hot seat necessarily.
True. That's a great point. But Stefanski is plus 15K and he's like 24th. So close to the bottom five.
Right, because like there's no realistic path for him winning Coach of the Year when you're got a rookie QB and all the issues the Browns have. But I also don't think he's on the chopping block because he's got a rookie, for sure.
Agreed.
So
I'm not. No, you're right. There is some nuances to this, but generally, if you have the best odds to win Coach of the Year, that means you're considered doing the best coaching that year. Now, it's
yeah,
like
but a
Andy
lot of it
Reid
has
might
to do with winning too, right? Like
True.
yeah,
True.
So yeah.
Well, Mike McDaniel's is one of the plus 50K.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean, yeah, okay, I guess I should have... See, the only reason I didn't immediately say McDaniels was the fact that they did fire some front office personnel and let him keep his job made me think that he wasn't as on the hot seat as maybe we thought he would be. You know what I mean?
Aaron Glenn is plus 50K.
See, there's no way, dude. The Jets are finally winning games after they've mortgaged the future and he's in a first year? No way. So again, plus 50K to win Coach of the Year? Sure, totally buy that. On the hot seat? Not at all.
Who's more likely to be fired, Aaron Glenn or Mike McDaniel?
Mike McDaniels, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
The other 50K is Pete Carroll.
Yeah, I was going to guess him, but it's like, again, it's his first year with the team, and I just don't... Like, it's look, in college, you say you got to give a guy 3 years, right? So, like,
Right.
in the pros, that you may not necessarily get 3 years, but, like, if you can't expect someone to come in and change the culture the first season they're there. That's just not realistic, right? It takes time. You have to bring in your own guys, get your own captains in there, and like, yeah, did we expect to be better than we are? Of course. Like, I didn't expect us to win the division, right? We're in the same division, the Chiefs, the Broncos, and the Chargers, right? Like, but I did expect us to be better than we are. So it is unfortunate that we're as bad as we are, but a lot of that has to do with just we have no offensive line. Like, I don't care how good you coach or how good your running back is, or even how good Geno Smith is, which he has not been good this year at all. But like, what's he supposed to do, man? It's guys like me out there blocking who never played down a football in their life. You know?
The next two are going to be very interesting. The other one I'll give you is Kellen Moore. That's 50K. Oh, wait, well, let me ask you a question. Who has more likely to get... Can you hear me? I apologize. My mic goes in and out.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Who has more likely to be fired? Aaron Glenn or Pete Carroll?
If I had to pick one of those two, I would pick Pete Carroll.
Okay, I'm making you pick one of them, so yeah.
Yeah, but again, so like the Jets are like the Jets just won this week, right? Like the Jets are trending upward over the last couple like the Jets are finally starting to put it together, and Aaron Glenn's not the one who signed Justin Fields, right? He inherited, they went out and signed Justin Fields in the offseason at the same time they were signing a new coach. It wasn't like he was the established coach and said, "Give me Fields," right? So. Yeah. I don't think you can blame him for that. And last week, Justin Fields threw for, 15 yards in the game? Something like that? Something crazy? So
now, there are two other coaches that are at plus 25K odds. These are very, very interesting. So the last 50K guy, sorry, I'm going a little bit back and forth, but the last plus 50K, so the bottom five, Sean McDermott.
Really?
Yeah. If the Bills collapse and you start thinking about it, if the Bills can't get over the hump this year in the playoffs, why wouldn't they move on? McDermott's been there for 4 years now, 5.
And I will say their defense has gotten worse, which is he's supposed to be the defensive guy, right?
Yeah.
And that the loss to Miami this week was bad. There's no other way to Miami is not a good football team, and they didn't lose to Miami. They got destroyed by Miami.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And then the last one is Dan Quinn, which I don't see that one. That one's probably the least of the 5 that I see happening. His year last year, I think, bought him at least one bad year. So
yeah, I think the obvious answer then for who's the most on the actual hot seat is McDaniels. But again, you never know what these owners are thinking, right? Because like I said, Mike Tomlin, he's been there for forever, so eventually they might need to change it up and move on, but it's hard to change it up and move on when the guy has a winning record every year.
Okay, really quick, don't have to give explanations or not. Let's do the opposite. I'm just going to name some coaches, and you tell me if they are unfireable or not, right? Literally, you can't fire this guy. So we'll start off with the obvious one, Andy Reid, right? You cannot fire him, right?
100%.
Okay, Mike Vrabel.
No, dude, Tennessee's only good years ever as a franchise was with Vrabel as the coach, and he had nothing the last couple years, and they fired him because he was old Mother Hubbard. He had nobody in the cupboard. They sent him up to look how good the Patriots are with him now. It's
ridiculous.
For context, this is going to be something I'm talking about later, but I'll just go ahead and mention it now. Drake May is tied for the best odds to win NFL MVP.
Yeah, that's crazy.
In his second year, after his first year was mid at best, and a lot of that has to do with a new coach.
Is Shane Steichen fireable?
No.
Is Mike McDonald fireable? He's the head coach of the Seahawks, just in case our viewers are a little...
No, I don't think so. But I did think of another guy who might be on the hot seat, actually. But that, again, I have all these stories I want to tell, and I don't want to give it away. But another guy who might be on the hot seat is Matt LaFleur.
Oh, where's his odds? Let's see here. Oh, he's right in the middle, plus 10K. Yeah, Yeah, Matt LaFleur could be on the hot seat for sure. He's fireable.
Because he's effectively an offensive coordinator. His job is just, he calls the plays for the team, even though he's the head coach. And a story came out today that he's not changing the play calling duties. LaFleur to keep play calling, but must, quote, look inward. But yeah.
Is Sean McVay fireable?
No way, dude.
Is Sean Payton fireable?
No. I mean, the Broncos are suspect and not nearly as good as the record says they are, but no, you can't. How do you fire a guy who's 8-2?
Dan Campbell.
I think the players love Dan Campbell too much to ever do that. Detroit would riot. Now, not that Detroit doesn't riot all the time anyway, but Detroit would riot if you fired Dan Campbell.
Jim Harbaugh.
I think... No, sorry, Jim Harbaugh? No. Jim Harbaugh's good.
Kyle Shanahan.
Maybe. I would be inclined to say no because he's had to have a backup QB all year. But...
Liam... Yeah, I would say Shanahan's not fireable either. Liam Cohen.
Oh, yeah. I think he's fireable.
Dave Canellis.
No. Not look how good that team's been this year compared to last year.
Nick Sirianni.
No, I mean, they won the Super Bowl last year.
Matt LaFleur.
Yes.
Mike Tomlin.
Yes.
Todd Bowles.
No.
Raheem Morris.
Where's Raheem coaching right now?
I think it's the Bucks, right? On.
No, Wait, where's Todd Bowles then?
Oh, sorry. Sorry, I messed it up. Morris is the Falcons.
Yeah, that's what I said. Okay, yeah, that's at Atlanta. Okay, yeah. No, I think Atlanta's good. No.
Brian Schottenheimer.
He's first-year head coach, no?
Zach Taylor.
Is that the Bengals?
Yes.
Yeah.
D'Amico Ryans.
No.
Jonathan Gannon.
Where's Jonathan Gannon coach at?
That's the...
also, is there an end in sight to this segment? Because we're just naming every coach in the league at this point.
Yeah, I just want to see real quick. Jonathan Gannon is the Cardinals head coach. He's definitely fireable.
Yeah.
John Harbaugh.
Yes.
Okay, so we've basically named... Oh, and Kevin O'Connell.
It depends on how much he had to do with the McCarthy situation and letting Darnold go.
Okay, so in reality, there's 10 coaches who aren't fireable. That's what I was getting at with this whole thing. Is I feel like there's a lot more guys. Dable was I thought he was doing well. What? Who is fired next? It's because you can't protect players, but he can call plays well. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. So basically, after the Dable firing, I'm realizing there's only 11, depending on your feelings, 10 to 12 coaches who aren't fireable.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a reason for anybody, right? But yeah. I just think But again, that kind of speculation, like that's for front office people to do, not for us to do, because we also don't know who all does what exactly, right? But anyway, this transition is no longer going to be relevant. But I was trying to keep it to NFL news, so you brought up league neighbors, and my transition was going to be, speaking of wide receivers we won't see again until next year. Travis Hunter had surgery in the offseason. He's now out for the season, or not the offseason. He's had surgery this week. He is now out for the season. So basically had an injury during practice, non-contact injury, surgery, donezo. So we have to wait to see what the Jags have with Hunter. They gave up a lot to move up and get him. This whole like dual threat Heisman winner, what's he going to be? Which side of the ball? Well, we're just going to have to wait and see, which is unfortunate because I think a lot of people were excited to see that.
Yeah. Well,
go ahead.
I don't know. Sorry, I don't want to bring it off topic. It reminds me with the Travis Hunter thing with the trade with the Jaguars. They traded with the Giants, right? So the Giants ended up using their round one on the defensive stopper. What's his name? The defensive tackle is doing really good. He's going to be a Pro Bowl as a rookie. And they got Dart later in the first round. So, I don't know. The Giants look like they did a pretty good job in this draft.
Yeah, no, Giants... and Cam Scotty was in this draft, too. Giants did great in this draft, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. All right. I didn't mean to bring it off Hunter. It just reminded me that trade.
But again, we don't know that that's going to end up being a bad trade, right? Like the whole argument. Like again, I was never a big Travis Hunter guy, but the whole argument is if you really do get a guy who is good on both sides of the ball for one spot on your roster and one contract, that's a home run, right? But it's yet to be seen if he's good on either side of the ball, and we're gonna have to wait another year to find out. We also mentioned the Packers' offensive struggles. For those who don't know, the last two games for the Packers, Jordan Love has been a real trash can fire, putting up single-digit fantasy points in each of them. But there is good news for Packer fans on the horizon as Toyotathon starts this weekend. So you can expect them to right the ship against those Giants on Sunday. So Packer fans, buckle up. Things are about to get a lot better right when you need them. Right when LaFleur says he's going to look inward, make some changes, right in time for those Toyotas to go on sale. Mitch, what do you think? Does the theory hold true? And does Jordan Love ball out once again during Toyotathon this season?
How long is Toyotathon again?
It lasts until the beginning of January, so basically up until right before the playoffs.
Yeah, I have no idea. Love is tough. I'm a little disappointed in Love. I had him pretty high ranked on my QB list this year, and he has not stepped up.
He's actually been pretty decent, but like the problem is he's got high highs and low lows. He's on a team, right? So let me bring up his stats here. But like, it's not. The problem is he's just so inconsistent. Because like if you look at his last 16 and 15 are bad, 34 is amazing, 8 and 7 are real bad, right? Early on, 19's fine, 24 is good, 12's bad, 31's great. So, like, it's just, he's kind of all over the place.
So, they've all had their buys except for, like, Bo Nix and Daniel Jones has his buy this week. So, not including those who are above him, but, like, Jordan Love's not even in the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. If I told you before the year that, you know, Aaron Rodgers and Caleb Williams are going to be significantly higher than Jordan Love. Oh, not necessarily Rodgers, but both of them. Like, you'd be like, "Wow, Jordan Love is garbage," right? If I told you, before the season,
there's only 4 quarterbacks ahead of him that have not had their bye yet, and one of them is Jackson Dart, who didn't start every game this season, so that already counts as having a bye, right?
Oh, you have it up on the screen, my bad.
Yeah.
So there it is. Yeah. So exactly, I'm just trying to say, like, by any metric, like,
and for the record, he's not catching some of those guys. Like, for example. Where was Love at? Jordan Love's at 166 points. Justin Herbert's at 233. You telling me that Love's going to score 70 points when Herbert's on a bye to catch up? Drake May's at 237. You telling me he's going to score 75 on a bye? So, like, the fact that these guys haven't had their bye yet is irrelevant. He's not catching any of these guys. Even Bo. So that's what quarterback he is this year.
Anytime you play yourself out of the top 12 in fantasy, you're just irrelevant. It doesn't matter if you have potential or not. We'll look at you next year. So, yeah. I dropped Love in 2 leagues. When Lamar had his injury, Love was one of the ones I figured. In our league, I got Stafford because he was available, but in most other leagues, he wasn't available, so I went with Love. And yeah, I've been dropping Love and playing the QB carousel just to find a backup in case anything, happens to Lamar. No. So basically my answer is I don't think Toyotathon can save him.
Okay, Toyotathon not going to save Love this year.
I mean, I'm going to be wrong and watch. He's going to be amazing for the next 3 weeks, and it's going to be effing Toyotathon. But
Well, I want him to be great for 2 reasons. One is I played Chris this past week when he only got those 7 points, so I don't have to face Jordan Love again. So it'd be great if he played well against other people that I don't have to deal with. But two, like, it's such a fun thing. Like, it's kind of like the Madden curse. It's like, I never want anyone to get hurt, but it's like, it's kind of interesting that it always happens, right? All right. Let's move on to some more fun news. We talked a lot of negative news. Here's some fun news. Last week, Rico Dowdle did the famous two-pump celebration when he scored a touchdown, and he was flagged for it. Unfortunately, the rules in the Key and Peele sketch do not apply to the actual NFL. And then Keegan-Michael Key, one of the originators of the sketch, actually talked to the Panthers team this week, during the week. And in a class move, he and his wife made a donation to a charity of Rico's choice for $15,000, which is the amount Rico's fined $14K. So basically, he made a donation to charity in the amount of the fine, which I thought was a really class move by Keegan-Michael Key. But what makes the story even cooler, at least to me, this week, both Rico Dowdle and Aaron Jones of the Vikings scored touchdowns within about 60 seconds of each other. Like, they're playing in different games, obviously. Yeah. Both of them then did the zero pump celebration as a throwback to him getting fined last week. And I just thought it was really nice to see, like, fun touchdown cellies again. Like, it feels like it's been a long time since the days of the Ocho Cinco hiding a marker, behind the goalpost so that they could autograph football, and like stuff like that. Like all the stuff T.O. did, like, yeah, sure, it got him flags and it was controversial, but like it's nice to see end zone celebrations again, even if they're silly stories. So that was kind of cool to see.
Yeah, that's been a lot of fun. And then what's his name? Michael Key and Peele. What's his name? Michael Carter.
Keegan-Michael Key. Yeah.
Thank you. He was on the Eisen show last week, and they asked him to do some football names with the substitute teacher thing again.
Right.
And he did Ladidi McConkey, and it's caught on like wildfire. Ladidi calls himself Lad calls himself Ladidi now, and everyone in the NFL calls him Ladidi McConkey. So,
that's great.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun with that whole bit, and watching him play into it and go on and talk guys, it's nice. And he like the one where he's like apologized. He's like, I'm sorry, Dowdle. Like, apparently you do get fined. It was so funny.
Yeah. Yeah, for those who haven't seen the sketch, one, you should go watch it. The Key and Peele sketches about football, whether it be the player introductions with their names or the touchdown celebration one. But the premise of the sketch is that you can do a hip thrust pump twice without getting flagged. But if you do a third pump, it becomes too sexual and you get flagged for it. And so Rico Dowdle, however, was fined and flagged for the two-pump celly. But yeah, all right. Let's see what else we got to talk about here. Oh, here's I got some not so fun facts for you, or just some interesting facts. Some are going to be fun, I guess. But you ready for some more of these, Mitch?
Yeah, I got a fun fact in the middle of yours too.
All right. Let me give one, then you can give one. Sure. The Titans are coming out of their bye week, and they're hoping to break their current streak, which is 14 straight games of scoring less touchdowns than their opponent. Yes, even in their win this year against the Cardinals, they still had less touchdowns than their opponent. It's currently the fourth longest streak in NFL history. They trail only 3 teams. The 1942 Chicago Cardinals, yes, you heard that right, the 1976 Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the absolute legends that are the 1927 Dayton Triangles. That's right. Their streak is so bad that it hasn't been seen in over 50 years since the 76 Bucks did it, and almost 100 years to the team that are currently behind, the Dayton Triangles. So, do you think they get the streak? They need to go another 5 games to tie the record.
Who are they playing?
This week they're going to get blown out by the. No, they really are, because for fantasy, I had someone on the fantasy team playing them. Hold on, let me take a look here. I'll just go to my team because I know my team's playing against them with somebody. It was in this league.
Houston. They're playing Houston.
They're playing Houston? Okay, so they're playing Houston. Well, I mean, if Davis Mills I don't know, Davis Mills balled out last week, so.
Davis Mills has been looking good. Remember at the beginning of the year, we thought there would be a backup quarterback that could be the next Darnold, and a lot of us picked Mills.
That's what it is. I'm playing Vinny. He's got Texans D, and they're projected to get 20 points this week. That's what it is.
Oh, no.
That's what it is.
First of all, the Texans are like the number 2 fantasy defense.
I know, but like that's such a wild projection for a defense. Yeah. Look at this. Have you ever seen a projection this high? He's projected to score 110 points.
No, the projections are so lame this year. Not saying like Vinny's like how does he have a passing and rushing rank 9th and 4th and still gets projected over 110 points? Like come on.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't want to focus on that, but but that's where I saw it. I saw the Texans D projected to score 20 against the Titans. So anyway,
The projections have been so wrong. I'm not trying to like complain or toot or anything, but like I just like as the number one scorer in the league right now, like I haven't been projected to beat the other team like except for like once or twice this year. And one of those times it was wrong. I was projected to beat Miles, and Miles scored 125 on me and beat me. So I'm really upset with the projections this year. I think I complained to you about it last week or whatever. I'm just like, where are they getting these from? But whatever. I wouldn't look at them. Okay, I have a fun fact.
All right, go for it.
Um, Jonathan Taylor has 180 rushing attempts through week 10 weeks, the first 10 weeks, and total 220 touches. Just 220 touches total. How many touches and rushing attempts do you think Saquon Barkley had at this point last year?
I'm guessing he had less because I don't know. I feel like Jonathan Taylor's killing it.
It's the exact same. 220 touches and 189 attempts. He actually had 7 more rushing attempts. If you had to guess, right now, Jonathan Taylor has 1401 or 1399. Sorry, 1399 yards. How many do you guess Saquon Barkley would have?
I know Jonathan Taylor's not on pace to break 2K. He's on pace for like 1900 something. So I will. You said he's currently sitting at what?
1399, 1400.
So I'll say that Saquon was at around 1450.
Close enough. 1400, basically the same thing. The difference is what? Jalen Hurts. Stealing all these touchdowns.
Oh, yeah.
Just Saquon Barkley has 9 at this point, whereas Jonathan Taylor has 17. Okay.
Well, honestly though, like Danny Dimes has scored a few rushing touchdowns. I mean, obviously not that many.
He has snaked on some too, yeah. But all I'm trying to say is Barkley won't outlive Hurts, right? Hurts is going to outlive Barkley. And one day there's going to be an Eagles running back not named Barkley, right? And Hurts is still going to be there. He can still perform really well, but Jalen Hurts might be the ultimate TD stealer that we've ever had ever in fantasy football. You thought Willis McGahee was a TD stealer back in the day? No, this is the ultimate TD stealer, right?
I mean, yeah, look, Danny Dimes has 5 to to Hurts' 7, so or Hurts' 5 this year. But yeah, I get what you're saying for sure.
Yeah.
But another stat, just to play off yours, I didn't actually have this one planned to say because I don't know the exact number, but did you know that CMC currently has, like, hold on, let me see the carries of CMC versus, I'll just have to show you the stat because it's why. So let's go to actual carries here. So where's the attempts? Yeah, CMC has 9 less carries, but 500 less rushing yards. 600 less rushing yards. No, 500 was the first time. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, and he also has 11 less touchdowns on the same attempts. Usually, you don't see that disparity.
Yeah, and like again, look, I'm not knocking CMC. CMC's been great because look at all the receiving work. That's a huge difference. But like, this is to me is a crazy stat. Like that's how good Jonathan Taylor's been. He had only 9 more carries, but literally 500 more yards.
And then also looking at that stat, I didn't realize. Oh my gosh, McCaffrey has 700 receiving yards.
Yeah, he's been their whole team. He's been their whole team. So,
Alex, go to wide receivers real quick.
Oh, you want to see who the top
yards
is?
Yeah, click yards real quick. You don't have to scroll very far.
No, it puts him in 6th place. He's at 692. He's right behind Amon-Ra.
Did you have on your bingo card that Christian McCaffrey was going to have more receiving yards than Justin Jefferson and Amon-Ra St. Brown?
All right. Well, that actually transitions into my next stat.
Yo, that's wild, Alex.
So Mitch, no, this perfect timing. Mitch, after J.J. McCarthy had his one quote good game last week, he was finally allowed to throw the ball more than 25 times. You said they have that script where he doesn't throw more than 25.
I was shocked. It made me look stupid. I was so sad when he threw that 22nd attempt. I was like, I'm gonna get killed.
but hold on, no, I'm actually backing you up. They let him throw 42 times. He had a whopping 48% completion percentage. For those who don't know, under 60 is bad.
And you don't think Kevin McConnell in practice doesn't see, like, hey, if I let this guy throw 45 times, it's going to be 50%? Of course
For only 1 touchdown and 2 picks, which brings his season total to more interceptions, 6, than total touchdowns, 5. And the reason I bring that up is because I want to talk about JJ, who you just referenced. Not McCarthy, but Justin Jefferson. Yeah. I've been down on JJ from the start of the year. I talked about that. I was not high on him in the draft at all. And my concern was that I did not necessarily think he was QB proof like a lot of other people did, because everyone's like, oh, he's QB proof, but that was under the assumption that Darnold wasn't a great player, and we've seen that Darnold actually is. So he's not QB quarterback proof, as some might have suspected, and I think we should give you some stats to prove that. So here are his. This is Justin Jefferson's average receiving yards per game with each of the quarterbacks he's played with. Kirk Cousins, he played with for 4 seasons. His average receiving yards per game, 98.9. Carson Wentz only started 5 games, but he is a former Super Bowl winner, former MVP, 95.4 yards per game. Last year, Sam Darnold played 17 games with him, 90.2 yards per game. Mitchell, how many yards per game do you think J.J. McCarthy has with Justin Jefferson?
It's got to be like 48 or something. It's
52.3. He has basically cut his yards per game in half by playing with J.J. McCarthy. He is not QB proof, and this isn't a knock on him. That's just where he's at. And now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, like that's just yardage though. He's still getting the red zone targets. He only has 2 touchdowns this season.
Massively, yeah.
You know who else only has 2 touchdowns this season? CeeDee Lamb, who's missed a ton of time. Brian Thomas, who's missed multiple games. You know who else has had 2 touchdowns this year? DeMarcus Lawrence, the defensive end for Seattle. That's right. Seattle's defensive end, DeMarcus Lawrence, has as many touchdowns as CeeDee Lamb, Brian Thomas, and, of course, Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson has been a bust this year, and it's not his fault. It's his quarterback's, because it wasn't that he was hurt. It's his quarterback was bad. And it's like, oh, well, he didn't have JJ for a few games. McCarthy was out. No. It was so much better for him when McCarthy was out. And in case you're wondering, Zay Flowers has only 1 TD, so he's less than that defensive end. But that's neither here nor there. So anyway, Mitch, now that you know all these stats, what do you think about the prospects of JJ moving forward, not just this year, but in the future with McCarthy as a quarterback?
Well, the fact you brought up Zay is going to be completely...
That was just to throw shade. Let's leave him out.
No. It's going to destroy my argument right here.
Okay.
Because I looked right now, and the last 3... Well, he was injured in 2022 or whatever. But besides that year, if you look at the last... He's had 10 TDs or more. I think in 1 year he finished as a wide receiver. 2021, he had 14 TDs or whatever. So my only argument is because McCarthy is so bad with the offense, Jefferson's red zone targets, he used to be QB proof because Kevin McConnell's offense was good enough to get enough red zone targets that Jefferson would see the benefit from. But so like right now he has 76 fantasy points. Let's take out Jackson Smith and Jigba because he's at 130. He might be the outlier this year and just destroy everyone. Second is Jamar Chase at 109. Okay. So if you just do 76 and you just add 4 or 5 TDs to Justin Jefferson, which would put him at 5 or 6, just the average of the league or whatever, the top guys at 5 or 6, that's 24 to 30 extra fantasy points, and that puts him at 101. So if he just gets the red zone production that he's normally accustomed to, he would be back to QB proof. But because what's his name is so bad that he isn't QB proof anymore. And you're right. He's showing this year that he is not because McCarthy's so bad. But my point of all this is McCarthy might just be extremely bad to where it's like if they just go and put in someone else, I'm not saying Carson Wentz next year or just any other guy in free agent.
Joe Flacco will be available next year.
Joe Flacco, David Mills, Matt Jones, any of these guys, instantly JJ goes back to the top of the list for me personally again. Because like 2 TDs, that's terrible. How can you? And then you take Zay Flowers, and he has 100 million red zone offenses, and he could only still get 1. So I don't know. Zay is QB. What's the opposite of QB proof? Where it's like it doesn't matter who the QB is. Zay is just the same guy. So those two kind of contradict me. But like, yeah, I think Justin Jefferson this year, because of they're never in the red zone, Alex. I mean, okay, let me.
He's QB 21 in points per game. Excuse me, wide receiver 21 in points per game.
Yeah, that's so bad for JJ for the
value. For a guy that you expect to be top 3.
Well, it goes back to the AJ Brown argument. For where you're drafting him, it's going to be terrible. Whereas if we're taking Justin Jefferson in the 5th or 6th round, who cares anymore, right?
Yeah, if you're taking him as a low end wide receiver 2, but that's not what you wanted out of Justin.
That's what
Jefferson.
you're not. Just so that's what I'm saying. You're 100% right. So let me sum this all up. I've been, off on things. I've been correct on things in this podcast. I think the thing I've been most off on is there was a part of me But there's a good part of me that literally stared at the computer screen doing fantasy research this summer, 6, 7 months ago, whatever. And I kept saying is, man, I'm going to overlook the Vikings fantasy value because there's going to be a world where JJ McCarthy is actually better than a washed up Darnold who came back 1 year with the Vikings and then plays bad with the Seahawks, and then McCarthy plays well. We're going to know it wasn't Darnold and that was the Vikings, right? You know what I'm trying to say? But really, it's the opposite. Darnold's doing well in Seattle, and it wasn't necessarily the system as much as you need to have a good QB in the system. JJ McCarthy is so far off from where I've been correct that like I'm so wrong. There was a serious part of me, Alex, that I was like, man, am I going to play fantasy this year where JJ McCarthy is better than Darnold and I don't have any Vikings players? I'm a noob. I'm a loser. I shouldn't be a fantasy pro or whatever. But man, it was the opposite. You were right. There is a world where he's not better and he's actually the worst QB in the league. Alex, name me another QB. Like I would rather have David Mills. I'm not joking around. Like Caleb Williams. Who would you rather have, Alex? I'm not even joking. Caleb Williams looks better. I mean, he's not consistent, but Caleb Williams looks better in Ben Johnson's offense than McCarthy does.
Yeah, clip this. I would rather have Caleb Williams than JJ McCarthy. And that's not something you ever thought you'd hear me say on
it went
the
from,
podcast.
is he better? Is he going to be a better year than Darnold to he is the worst starting QB? Like that's how drastic or drastic.
That's a good point. Drastic. Is there currently? So I'm gonna say we're going to exclude Dylan Gabriel.
Fields?
I think it's Dylan
I would rather
Gabriel.
have Justin Fields.
So if we exclude Dylan Gabriel, yeah, I guess Justin Fields. Besides those two, is there a third quarterback that you would that you'd rather not have over McCarthy?
No, it's not even close either. Like I would rather have Love a million times over. Like Penix Jr. a million times over. Penix at least.
I'd rather have the Rattler, who's currently benched in New Orleans.
I might even pick Jacoby Brissett.
Oh, I definitely take Jacoby Brissett over.
Okay, well, I just maybe because of the age, I would hope that eventually McCarthy can get better like Darnold. Like Darnold did, don't get me wrong. Baker did too. I know Baker was a lot, like miles and miles and miles ahead better than what McCarthy is now. So like, I'm not trying to compare it that way, but like, you know what I'm saying? When Baker's on the Browns, he's miles ahead of what McCarthy is now. So I'm not trying to say McCarthy can improve like a Baker, and everyone's going to use Baker as an example now. It's like, oh my gosh, a QB can improve like Baker or Darnold. I'm not trying to make that lazy comparison, but at least with Brissett, he's old, and we still both want Brissett over McCarthy. That's how bad McCarthy is.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So yeah, definitely concerning. All right. Did you have any other news? If not, I have some more that I can give as well.
Scrolling. No. You can keep going. Oh, fine. No, I don't have anything off the top of my head. Sorry.
No, you're good. I just like how you're like scrolling as if you had notes, and you're like just kidding.
I do
you don't
sometimes.
Actually have
So
notes.
I listen. Like sometimes when I'm like on a random night when I'm looking at the computer or I'm doing or like I'm listening to a podcast at the gym. I just like write really quick on one of my like notes or whatever. I'll be like, oh, look at the stats of Barkley week 10. Look at the stats of Taylor week 10. And then I'll just write that. You know what I mean? And then I come back and I like scroll through all of it and I see if it got.
Gotcha. All right. So you mentioned Zay Flowers. I just threw some shade at at JJ. So now I'm going to give somebody flowers. No. I'm choosing his name as a transition. Right. I'm going to give somebody flowers, and it's time to give props to an older gentleman such as myself. Depending on what sports book you use, these numbers are going to be slightly different, but this is an average of kind of the big sports books: ESPN Bet, MGM Bet, FanDuel, DraftKings, etc. Matt Stafford is currently the favorite to win the MVP. He's tied with the person I mentioned earlier, Drake May, at plus 300. For context, before the season started, he was plus 5,000 to win the MVP. So he's absolutely balled out. You want to hear something even more impressive than that? With the Rams win last week, that brings Stafford's career regular season record to 115 wins, 115 losses, and 1 tie, which is the first time in his very long NFL career he has been at 500 because he was a Lion for a long time. So with a win this week, he'll finally know what it's like to be a winner. I mean, yes, I know he's won a Super Bowl, but as far as regular seasons go, even more impressive, Mitch. Hold on, even more impressive. In his nearly 240 total starts, counting the playoffs, how many times do you think he's been helped out by having a 100-yard rusher on his team? And 240 starts.
How many did you name? 240? Oh, man. I'm going to guess 100 times he's at a 100-yard rusher.
Oh, Mitch, you're not even in the ballpark. 25. Only 25 times in his 240 starts has Matt Stafford had a 100-yard rusher. This man is the absolute If I were JanSport, I would hire this man to do an ad campaign for my backpack right now because he has been carrying one his whole career and he's absolutely balling it out this season. So my question, Mitch, is A, how impressive is that? But B, do you think it's sustainable? Do you think he'll be able to keep it going the whole year?
I'm looking at you, Amir Abdullah and Kerryon Johnson and Theo Riddick and Joik Bell, Javid Best. I just had to Google who are the running backs from 2010 to 2020. Cause I'm like, who's letting him down this bad? Like, really?
I mean, you also had Todd Gurley for a couple of years.
Yeah, that is.
But not the good years, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, sorry. What was the overall question?
Well, the main question is, I mean, A, did you ever in a million years see this coming? And B,
no.
Do you think it's sustainable? Do you think he can keep this going through the end of the season, through the playoffs?
Okay, before I answer those two-parters, look at your screen, scroll down a little bit. He has a higher average. Drake May hasn't had his bye yet, and he's 2 points less than May. So I'm pretty sure he's going to pass him.
He set a record by being the first quarterback ever to have like 4 consecutive games with 4 more TDs or something wild.
Yeah, he's on, and look at his TDs, 25
and his
to
picks.
2 interceptions.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
How do you go from a bad back in the preseason to he might not even start week 1 to like the unanimous MVP? That's what bothers me. So your first question was like, did you see this coming? People were avoiding him because apparently he had back issues in the preseason and kept him out of all preseason. And they're like, we're not even sure if he's like I'm not even kidding around. How do you like? It's the biggest 180 ever. 25 TDs to 2 interceptions. He's the highest. He's on pace to be the 475 QB this year.
Oh, for sure. So not only Mitch, not only is that so he's thrown for the most TDs by far. He's 5 up on Goff. Most TDs by far. In yardage, he's fourth. He's fourth in yards. So that means he's thrown it a ton, right? Nope. Look how far down he is in attempts, Mitch. Look how many people have thrown the ball more than him. Joe Flacco hasn't played in every game this year. He's thrown the ball more.
Jeez, that's a lot. Alex, go back to the one you said before. What was it? The yards?
Yeah, yards. He's fourth.
I think 2 guys have their bye still. Daniel, Herbert, and Drake are all ahead of him, and they have to have their bye.
Yeah. So
he's going to be number 1 in yards.
He's definitely catching Drake May, right? Drake May's only 100
yards.
He may or may not catch the other 2. That's over 2. You know, when you get to 200 mark, but also mad props to Danny Dimes. Let's give the man some flowers for that. But
I'm not trying to take away from those 2 guys, but I'm just saying he might be the yardage, TD leader and lowest interceptions by the end of the year. That's undeniable MVP. You can't argue it. Like even Jonathan Taylor, you can't argue against it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think the biggest hurdle to Taylor winning the MVP is Matthew Stafford.
Now,
because
ask you, is it sustainable? I'm not sure. That's the tough part. I guess it's going to come out to how their division shakes out. What's the standings? I didn't really look. What's the standings?
Now that is the toughest division. I think the Niners lost though, right? So the Niners might be further back now.
As long as they have to compete all the way through, then it's sustainable.
They're competing with Seattle for sure. They're tied with Seattle, I think. Seattle's currently leading the division. They have the same record as Seattle, but Seattle has the tiebreaker of some kind.
Let me see the wild card, 6-3.
And San Fran's only a game and a half back.
Oh my gosh, look at the NFC East. That's a division. With 2 wild cards, or is it 3 wild? Yeah, it's San Francisco game and a half. That's interesting. Yeah. The Packers are only 5. Yeah, this is sustainable. I'm going to change my answer. I do think it's sustainable because they're going to have to win each and every week. So, yeah, I do think this is sustainable. Puka would be, I guess, they haven't had, I'm not trying to jinx you Rams fans, but you've had a healthy older line, which was always kind of their problem. So that's fine. And I guess my overall answer is Puka's health. Stafford will still be a top 6 fantasy QB, but without Puka, I don't think he could be number 1, but he could still be a top 6. So I guess it's sustainable depending on Puka's health. That's a lazy answer, but that's what I'm going with.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's a lazy answer either because, Devontae Adams left the game with an oblique injury. Now he's expected to be fine. I think he could have gone back in if the game was in contest. Puka Nacua is a guy who's known for getting banged up, and we talked about Stafford came into the year with a back injury, so it's a glass house, right? Like, as long as no one hits with a rock, I think they'll keep it going, but I think,
I think not
happen.
Trying to get too technical and everything. I think Stafford is a massive beneficiary from this new motion type offense that some of the elite play callers are using. and I think Stafford's taken it and put it on steroids. You watch a lot of these podcasts that I watch and video breakdowns and stuff like that. They're all oogling over Stafford's pre-snap abilities. So I think it's sustainable because he's not doing it. What I'm trying to say here is he's not rushing for 1,000 yards. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like he's a lot of his dominance is based on his ability pre-snap, and as long as he keeps doing that, like that should be sustainable.
Yeah, for sure. All right. I got one more piece of semi-interesting news. The Broncos have the best record in the NFL. We just looked at standings. They're currently 8-2. This week they're 3.5-point underdogs at home against the Chiefs, and it's like, okay, hold on. They're the best team in the NFL. They beat the Chiefs the last time they played them. Why are they 3.5-point underdogs at home against the Chiefs this weekend? Mitch, you pretty much can't miss this question. Who do you think leads the league in punts?
Wait, you said the Chiefs versus the who? Sorry.
I'm talking about the Broncos.
Oh yeah, the Broncos lead the punts. Yeah,
That's
Broncos
right.
haven't played
The,
them good.
the
Sorry.
Broncos, the team with the best record, also have the most punts. That's just a wild stat. These guys are just not good on offense.
Yeah, they have. I don't. The Broncos are, and then they'll be like down 27-7 and score 50 points or whatever.
Yeah, Bo Nix is
27,
a
come
fourth
back.
quarter merchant for sure.
Fourth quarter merchant. I don't know if that's again play calling. Maybe if I was a play caller for the Broncos, I'd be like, look, our defense is actually legit. So we just need to score 17 points, and then the weeks that our defense has bad weeks because they're humans and they're not perfect, we'll let Bo Nix light it up. But I think we're seeing like everyone was always like Bo Nix, or everyone was like Jaden Daniels year two, right? Stagnation because defenses figure you out. Lamar Jackson, I could go through all these QBs that have year two sophomore slumps, so to speak. This could just be defenses reacting to Bo Nix's sophomore slump type of thing, and he's actually doing better than most year two QBs do. That's a way to look at it that I've always been debating is like, is he just going through the slump and doing better than a lot of slumps do? Like Stroud last year had a terrible second year and never got through it. So like Stroud seems to be doing better, a little bit better this year. So I'm not sure if Nix is just was overrated year one, or this is just the sophomore slump type of thing that we all thought Jaden and the other players were going to have. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, I mean, let me ask you this: do you think that the Broncos are being disrespected by being 3.5-point underdogs at home against the Chiefs when they are the team that's leading the
No,
division and to beat the
I think
Chiefs
the
last time they
Chiefs
played?
are a rare team. Once until the Vegas knows that Vegas a lot of times has massive simulations and algorithms that I think if I've watched documentaries and like what they do is like it's a percentage of turnover of players. Until the Chiefs have like more than a 30% turnover of players, they've been to like four straight Super Bowls, five. I don't think. Also, Vegas also has to incur what people's opinions are, and a lot of people who just don't know sports and want to bet and just hear the Chiefs, they think they should be favored. So I think this has to do more with yeah, this has to do more with like Vegas being Vegas as opposed to who's actually winning the game. Like they might actually think the Broncos are -1, but they don't want to lose. They don't want to lose a bunch of bets or like have one-sided betting or whatever. You know what I mean? Where they're gonna have to cover if it's not if they're wrong. You know what I mean? I'm struggling for words right now, but if like they want a lot of times when Vegas loses, they still win because they have an equal on both sides of the bet. Whereas if you put Broncos -1, this might be one of those where Vegas is like everyone's going to take the Chiefs in a point, right? So I don't
So,
know.
so do you think that the line is more about Vegas wanting to
Fan
get bets in the
perceptions.
right place and have the line move
Yes.
to where it's supposed to be, or do you
Yes.
think okay?
Yes. I think that when
So
you
you
look
don't
at
think
the
that
Chiefs,
Vegas necessarily thinks the Chiefs are going to win by 3.5? You think that's where they need to put the number to get people to bet on the game?
yes, so then they don't lose as much because they always win. Yes, exactly
Sure.
right. I'm struggling to say that for words, but you know exactly what I'm trying to say. And it doesn't happen often. That's just it's more of like popular teams. If the fan public, general public knows the team or players, like the Cowboys are the most bet on team every year, but they're never the best team every year. So it's like you know what I mean? So it's like I wonder how Vegas changes the Cowboys line a lot just because they're the most bet on team. So yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Anyways,
Very cool, very cool. All right, well that's all the.
what do you think is gonna happen? Are you gonna pick the Chiefs or the Broncos and pick them, Alex?
Oh, I'm definitely picking. Well, here's the thing. So I'm picking the Chiefs, but like I'm so far behind in pick'em, maybe I should pick the Broncos to try to get back in it.
Well, I'll let you know right now. I am picking the Chiefs. So if anyone is listening in the pick'em league and wants to catch me, go Broncos.
Cool, cool. All right. Well, that's all the news that I had. So there's some more discussion topics, or we could go around the league if we want to talk about our league. How do you want to play it here, Mitch? You're the co-host and the producer's not here, so I'm gonna let you.
I'm sure the listeners would rather prefer around the league.
All right, let's go around the league, and we'll talk about how things played out last week here in the DoD. We'll start it off with the Sharks and the Gummy Bears. Sharks got a big day out of Baker. Got a couple of big days out of some of their backup players that had to play, like Olave and Vidal, and got the job done. Chris didn't really have any big hitters. His best player was a kicker. He had some garbage time TDs that scared me, but it wasn't enough to get the job done. Not a lot to talk about here. Pinheiro had another. This is the second week that Pinheiro's had a really bad game for me. The problem is San Francisco got behind by 21 points and just wouldn't kick field goals. So whenever they kick field goals, he does great. It's just they don't always kick them. The only real thing to talk about, I think, from my standpoint, is Rashid Shaheed. After that trade, we had high hopes, and then he did nothing. But I think part of the reason he did nothing was because Seattle was up by 1 million after the end of the first quarter, and they didn't really need to do anything. So maybe next week if they have to pass, we'll see if Shaheed does more. Do you think that Shaheed's going to improve, or do you think this could be kind of what he is now?
That's a great question. I mean, assuming he wasn't on a restrictor count, we ranked him last week around 24. I'd probably still keep him around the same spot. We went through all the wide receivers and ranked him until it's so hard to tell. New team, new play callers, new things. That's the risk you take in fantasy. He could be worth his value or he could be against his value. I'm still not sure on Shaheed. I didn't know. I think because it's like, how long is Cooper Kupp out for? Like they never even said. Like Cooper Kupp could still come back, and then he takes the spot back from Shaheed, and it's like then the guy Troy Holton, sorry, I forget. He was like doing well. He's a true rookie, right? So it's like, yeah, you want a lot of Tyrell McMillans and a lot of these wide receivers. I'm forgetting the other guy's name who came out right away and just do amazing, but the majority. Most of them take a little time to develop, and Horton looks like he was developing. So, like, Horton might even be better than Shaheed. So that's why I said I didn't understand the Shaheed or Myers trade really all that much, because they have guys already in line that they want to develop.
Right.
But so I guess this is another me again saying I don't know. I don't know. I would not put much value in Shaheed over Olave if that's what you're asking. I think you and I are going to be stuck starting two wide receivers that were dropped by two other managers in our league. Olave for Vinny and Waddle for Chris. And you and I are just going to be happy and smile and say, thanks, guys, and move on. I don't think you're going to have to worry about Shaheed. But for other viewers who are trying to decide to start him in his lineup, I don't think you can start him until he gives you a reason otherwise.
Yeah, not full disclosure. I may or may not be dropping him this week. But,
exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Well, the other guy you have on your bench, I'm more interested in. I actually, on Higgins' bye last week, I started Parker Washington in 2 leagues. And if you start him in an IDP league, he was even more of a monster because he had that punt return for a touchdown. So I think the Packers, I think the Jaguars are finding a player they actually like.
Yeah, no, Parker Washington's been leading the team in targets, and if Brian Thomas Jr. stays out, we now know that you're not getting Travis Hunter back this year. So yeah, I'm definitely not dropping, and that's why I actually went for Washington over Jacoby Myers off of waivers, because he developed that rapport. Unfortunately, he now has a hamstring injury, so we'll see.
I picked up Parker a week ago or 2 weeks ago in anticipation for my Higgins buy in my big money league. And I was like, oh, I'm going to hold Park for a week or two. You do the same thing. You like pick up your player a week or two early like you did with Flacco because you don't like battling the waivers that week for a player you want. I did the same thing. I grabbed Parker, and now I'm not even dropping him. I'm like, Parker, you've earned a spot on my team that's probably going to, I don't want to jinx anything, but probably going to the playoffs in a big money league. And so it's like, no, he's the real deal, I think. Or not the real deal, but he's a deal. He's someone to be watched, whereas Shaheed is kind of
Yeah, fair enough. All right, moving on. Team Dinosaurs take another L. Been a tough year for Miles. Had to watch a couple of guys that that he dropped because they weren't performing for him go out and perform for other people. Luis, on the other hand, team still very top-heavy. Allen, Hall, and Williams carrying the load. His wide receivers, A.J. Brown, who I know is your favorite, and DJ Moore, who was your favorite from last year, combining for 1 fantasy point.
Oh my gosh, dude! I look at this team every time and I get chills, Alex. Don't like. I know. I'm very biased. I have a lot of favorites and unfavorites in life and in fantasy, and I love to lose with my favorites, and I will never, with my hated guys. But dude, that gives me the chills. Like actual chills down my spine looking at DJ Moore and AJ Brown. We don't have to talk about that. My question to you is, would you started Jameson over Ibuka or Jefferson?
That's I mean Ibuka no Ibuka set it and forget it this year. I will say probably not. Now Jameson was coming off of a good week, and so he's now put together 2 good weeks in a row.
Yeah.
But it's really hard after 1 good week to bench JJ, even after I gave up the stats of how bad he's been. It's really hard for me to bench JJ after Jameson has 1 good week. So no, I do not fault Miles in any way, shape, or form for dropping the players he dropped. He dropped when he dropped Henderson and Jameson Williams, and neither of them had any value. He just got supremely unlucky that now they both have fantasy value.
Yeah, you took my answer. I was going to go to Henderson next. It's like before this week, Henderson had like no more than 8 rushing and like 5 fantasy points in any of the weeks, and he couldn't even be trusted. And then all of a sudden, he has a good week. And then
he's literally only getting to play because of an injury.
And then they brought in some guy I never even heard of, Jennings or something like that, just because they don't like Henderson.
When Ramondre Stevenson first got hurt, Jennings vultured the TD. So it's like, okay, Henderson still has no value even with him hurt, and then finally this week he got.
And the other funny part is like, did you see Henderson's post game interview? He like looked to the sideline on whether to score or not. Did you see that?
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, and that was smart because it's like, hey, do I run it? Do we go down and try to run the clock?
What is that telling though? I don't know many running backs. Like, that means the coaches are in his head. Like, he doesn't have a good relationship with the coaches.
Not necessarily. I mean, yes, it could be that. It could be like, I don't want to make a mistake. But it also could be he's just a smart player, right? A smart player knows you go down there. Like, I remember, who is it? MJ... Maurice Jones-Drew. Thank you, MJD.
But he doesn't look at the sideline. He knows just to go down there.
Right, true. He knows just to go down. But also, when but when he did it, it was like, there's 2 minutes left in the game, we can ice the game. I think there were still 4 minutes left in the game. They weren't going to be able to run out the entire clock if he didn't score. So I think that's why he looked. It's like, it wasn't hey, if I go down here, we can ice the game. So let's double check because we're up 2 scores, though.
Barkley did it twice last year. I remember specifically because I had him. He went down early. So like I feel like either the coaches need to have a better, hey, on this run here, Trevion, this is a down. Like either it's got to be better communication with the coaches, or he has a red flag relationship with the coaches. You might be right, it might be nothing, but it does alarm me as a red flag. And the last thing I'll say about Miles and Chris's team, because we're on Chris's. Miles and Chris's team, it feels like the same to me. On paper, it looks nice. It looks like a decent team. It looks like, I'd go into Sundays in a 12-man league with this team. Maybe not in a 10-man league, but a 12-man league I'd go in with this team. No problem. Easy peasy. And then, like, every time we're here on Wednesday, it's like they score 80 points or lower. It's like they can't get points out of these players. I mean, maybe I just don't know who's good or not, but, like, you look at this team, and you look at Chris's team, and you're like, he can win matchups here, he can win matchups there, this is not a bad team, and then they don't score more than 80 points. So I don't know. It's like one of those like bait teams where it's like, oh, this is a good team, and then you look at, oh, this team finished 3-12 on their, 2-12 on the year. It's like, oh, you know what I mean? So it's like, I'm happy I don't have a lot of these players because I like a lot of like Tyler Warren, Justin Jefferson, Chris's team, Jaden, Quinshon Junkins, like how are these guys? And then they score 7 points. It's like, wait a second, come on now, like when's their good weeks? They're just not having the good weeks. It's just unfortunate. I do like Chris's team. It's just he's not performing well.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the start of the season we thought this was kind of we called this team the team with the most potential. Like if it fulfilled its potential, it's going to be great. It didn't. Anyway.
Yeah, that's a good word. Potential. They did. Miles and Chris's team were way below the potential this year.
Yeah, I loved a lot of Miles' picks. I think Miles has been so unlucky. Like there were so many picks he made that I loved, and they just haven't worked out for him. And that's just I think Miles drafted a good team, got unlucky. Anyway, speaking of Jennings, here he is on Brake's team. Fun fact, I I didn't drop him for Break, but I did drop Algier, and I was hoping Break would pick him up because like I knew Break needed running back this week. I was like, well, I need to drop Algier anyway. Hopefully Break gets him. Matt, astutely picks him up off waivers, so Break can't have him. Break picks up Jennings, who gets nothing. But it didn't matter because Jahmyr Gibbs decided to finally live up to his name and go off. Matt got big performances out of Jameson Williams that we talked about. Second big game in a row. He also had a big game out of Kittle and a huge game out of his defense, but the rest of his team laid an absolute egg. And Break had a couple of big... He had the studs and duds roster. He either had guys pop off like Gibbs, Adams, and Nakua. Still, the double... Hey, as long as the double Rams train is rolling, Break's going to ride it.
I had Higgins and McLaurin, and I thought, like, there's no way Nakua and Adams beat me. And, like, it's not even close. Nakua and Adams are the best combo wide receiver ever.
Imagine if Break had just dropped Hurts for a Stafford when he's a free agent in our league. Imagine that stack. It'd be nasty.
Well, because he'd have that stack.
Yeah.
I agree, but Hurts is also, I think, number 4 fantasy QB.
Yeah, I just said that over Herbert because Herbert's also up there. Like, they're both good. His QBs are fine. I'm not knocking his QB. I'm just saying, like, if you're going to go all in on the wide receivers, then you may as well start the quarterback, right? Because, like, if the Rams play poorly, you're going to lose anyway because both your wide receivers do nothing. So you may as well just full on go all in.
Adam, I mean this sincerely. Like, Pitts is the... How do I say this? The shiny spinner fidget in the store, and you're like, oh my gosh, this toy is really cool. Or that robot that we had when we were in 5th grade, and we'd always come over that white robot Adam that we'd always play with, and like you press a button and it would dance for a second, and we loved it for like 2 hours, and then we never played with it again. That's Pitts, bro. Get off of Pitts. Go back to anyone, please. You have a realistic chance this year of actually making the playoffs and winning a Super Bowl. There's just so many tight ends, Adam, please.
All right.
He doesn't listen, so I figured I'd give him a little help.
Yeah. Well, you on waivers picked up Dalton Schultz, so I wanted so bad because I have Gatson who's hurt, but like, I mean, I still got Kate Otten, but like, man, I really wanted Schultz. He's been balling out. All right.
He might not even play this week.
Who?
Schultz.
Oh, really?
I should have gone for... Yeah, I was deciding between Otten and Schultz, and I knew you were going to grab a tight end, so I had to switch him up on my priority list, and I was like, well, I need a running back this week with Taylor on a bye, but I know Alex is going to take it, so even if Kincaid plays, I have to put Schultz first. Anyways, blah, 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 blah. Schultz might not even play, so it looks like I took the wrong one.
Well, yay me then. All right, moving on to Team Phoenix versus the Aussies. I was really hoping... we got a closer game here because we had 2 powerhouse teams, but Vinny ended up pulling it away. A lot of big performances on both sides, honestly. I think both these teams played well. I think Bajan and Dowdle both kind of had down days for them. Not that they didn't like play well, but just like Dowdle didn't get a lot of yards per carry. I think the Saints have a sneaky good defense this year. Yeah. And then Robertson just didn't draw zone. And that's kind of what it... And then Bowers laying an egg kind of hurt. But yeah, I mean, just... Austin may have the best 3-7 team we've ever seen. Like, this is a team I do not want to play.
I'm wondering if the Bunkin Broncos somehow cursed the Aussies because, man, imagine Nico Collins is your worst player. Like, imagine that. Like Bowers, Jigba, Robinson, Dowdle, and May. Man, that's a good team. I'm so happy he got the losses he did. And then
even look at the bench. Like, look at the points on the bench on these 2 teams. Like, this is insane.
Well, Henderson doesn't impress me much, but yeah, Prescott and Brown on bye is unfortunate. And Vinny and Austin have like 2 very scary teams.
Yeah.
We don't have to do this live on air because I don't want to do it that way. But if you want, I did ask Vinny, I think like a week or 2 ago or whatever. I was like, you're in the playoffs right now. Pretend you're in the playoffs. Pretend, Alex, you made the playoffs. Pretend, Vinny, you made the playoffs. Who are you truly? I'm not saying like, oh, this team could beat me, because there's a lot of teams that could beat me in the playoffs. But who truly are afraid of? And it's like every time I look at Austin's team, it's like, please stay out of the playoffs, Austin. Please do not make the playoffs. Like, I don't think it's mathematically possible with your and Matt's for me and Austin both to make the playoffs and him get wildcard where. I don't think it's mathematically possible. The only way he could do it is by knocking me out of the playoffs. But from like yours, Matt, and Vinny's perspective, like this is one of those teams where it's like if this team is 3-7, I don't understand fantasy football. Straight up. Like, I don't. You can take any credibility, knowledge I know away. Like, you told me this is the team at the end of the year, and I don't even know the record or the league that you're playing in. I'd be like, this team won the or went to the Super Bowl, or won it or whatever. This team's gonna be a losing record in our league. It's wild.
Yeah, I
Poor
just
Austin. What did he do? What did he do from the Bunkin' Broncos to the Aussies? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what was it when they traded Babe Ruth? What was that? What was that cursed or something? Like, you're never going back to the World Series or whatever. For changing your name from the Broncos who won a fantasy Super Bowl in our league to the Aussies, you're never going back, bro.
yeah. I mean, it is what it is. Poor Aussies. All right, moving on here to the Avengers. Yeah, can't say it. Jonathan Taylor. Good Lord, Mitch. I mean, you could have just gone to bed after that. Like,
I did go to bed after that.
I think Taylor and Jackson was enough to tie Cam's team. You just needed 1 point from anybody else.
I actually physically did go back to bed after that, and I think it was around around like 9 in the morning after I watched that game. I was like, "Well, I watched my whole fantasy team today on Sunday play in the morning. I don't need the rest. I only need to watch one game a week to figure out if my fantasy team is doing well or not." Um, in all seriousness, though, Alex, I might be getting hit with the injury bug to where it's just like Lamar might be out again. Kincaid might be out. Dobbins is out. Taylor's on a bye. I might be in a little trouble. And my kicker, Fairbairn, might be out too. So,
Your kicker,
uh,
yeah, my kicker that had dropped, and then you wouldn't
yeah.
ninja him.
My kicker on loan because Miles stole Boswell for me. That's what I got to look up next year. I got to look up a kicker. Don't draft the kicker who you think has a bye in the first like 6 weeks of the year because people haven't had their buys yet. And jerks like Miles are going to take your kicker just because you have a kicker buy early on and don't want to carry two kickers in week 5 when there's so many potential fantasy players that could turn into actual players for the season for you. You know what I mean? You're holding a lot of these third, fourth, fifth running backs or third, fourth, fifth wide receivers or whatever. And it's like, well, I don't want to hold two kickers right now, so I'm going to drop Boswell. So blame
Dude,
Miles.
just
Miles,
be
Miles.
like Cameron last year and hold on to 3 kickers all
Oh
season.
no. Oh no.
Speaking of Cameron, his lack of depth continues to haunt him. I mean, he has to start Patterson for the Chargers, who is second or third string maybe. Irving's still hurt. Spears is a
I think
backup who's on a
is
bye.
Irving coming
Wilson's a
back? He might
backup.
got lucky with that, but yeah.
Irving finally started practicing again this week,
Right.
but they usually I don't know if that means he's going to be back this week or not. But yeah, just look, he obviously got unlucky with that, but just like that's why you got to draft a backup. You know what I mean? He didn't have any backup. Same with he's been holding like Godwin all year. I feel like if you drop Godwin's only going to pick him up, but like that's his only other wide receiver on the whole roster. Like if Smith or Metcalf have a bye, like what's he gonna do? So yeah, lack of depth really hurting Cameron this year. You blew him out, and then serial killers put the hurt on Dad. Her big winning streak came to an end last week. This week she got back on the wagon. Lad McConkey continues to haunt me. Ever since I traded him, he's been the best receiver on the Chargers.
Ladidi.
Little bastard. So, Ladidi, yeah. But yeah, Dad's team laid an egg. Barkley continues to be terrible. The only good game he's ever had was against me.
I was thinking about trading Stafford to Sylvie earlier in the year, but I wasn't sure about Lamar's injury or whatever, and then I was just going to hold on the dart. Man, if she just had a service, I'm not even talking about Stafford's level production. If she just had a QB that could get her like the 18-point range instead of the 8 half the time, man, this is actually a scary team.
Oh yeah, no, this like hurt. Look, I mean, she's 5-5 right now. The team that's going to win the wild card, like obviously, it's looking like either me or Matt, who are currently, or I guess right now it'd be Matt, who's 7-3, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, so that puts her 2 games out of the wild card, and she has a game against Matt, right? Which puts her 1 game out of the wild card. Like again, it's a long shot, but like when you look at the overall standings, I mean, I guess we'll go ahead and look at them. Like if you look at the overall standings, like her 5-5, puts her right there in contention with everybody else. Unfortunately, except for the division she happens to be in, where there's the 8 and the 2 and the 7-3.
But that's the good news is at least in your division you get to play those two people twice. So
Yeah,
yeah, interesting. I mean, Cameron's tie is going to be a little interesting at the
this
end of the
this
year.
division this division is going to come down to the end here, because like as it stands, like, so our standings short by points for. If it were to end today, Flying Penguins would actually win the division. They have the better division record. So right now it's Team Phoenix looking up at Flying Penguins, Cam looking up at both of them, but only a half game back. Your division, you now have a 2-game lead with only 4 games left to play. Yeah, so I mean it's gonna be tricky. We'll see, because like, and even the wild card like race, you know.
Oh no, the wild card's wide open. I didn't think it was. I thought for sure, but like because the wild card's gonna come to points four, to where it's like Vinny can compete with, like, let's say you beat out Matt in division and division record or whatever. Vinny's in can compete with Matt in points. So I don't think it's all locked up. Adam wins the division over Vinny type of thing. So it's like I don't know if it's all locked up as it must to be. And now in hindsight, it does kind of look like, as long as I don't, you know, tank hard. You know what I mean? I don't. I
mean,
hope.
if you go 1-3 with the one win is beating my dad, as long as either Austin or Chris also beat Dad, you would win the division.
Yeah. Yeah, Nolan. I mean, not Nolan. Austin just took too many losses. Whoever beat Austin early in the season, thank you guys. Thank you. Appreciate
Yeah, because I mean, if Austin, look, well, I mean, it's possible, right? If Austin wins out, he goes 7-7. You would have to go 1-3 with that loss being to Austin. Dad would have to go, I guess, 2-2, because he'd have to beat you. Yeah, I don't know. It's theoretically possible for Austin, but he is still about 70 points back of you. But I mean, it's he's not mathematically eliminated. So you never know, right? So it is.
Whoever plays Austin this week, have your best week of the year, please.
Oh, hello, boys.
Look who decided to show up. It's Nurse Finny. Hey, Nurse Finny, how you doing?
Hey, good. Nurse Vinny. Oh, I love it.
Well, it would make more sense if you were here for the intro, an hour and a half ago. So.
Hey, look on the bright side. I actually get to like listen to it with fresh ears for the first time. So.
I mean, that might be a bright side for you. You may not want to hear the first couple minutes. We weren't exactly kind. But yeah, we just went around the league talking about the wild card race. Yeah, we're kind of, honestly, the show's kind of over. You want to just wrap it here, Mitch? Or?
No, well, I heard you, and I actually, because Mitch, I was just going to chime in. I think what makes the wild card interesting, and Mitch and I were texting yesterday, is Austin actually plays Matt this week. So.
Oh.
That's huge.
Okay. That is interesting. Huge. I forgot about that. I totally forgot about that. You did tell me that.
Which makes things very spicy in my opinion. Because I listen. Obviously, I'm not going to sit here and say the number one team in points more and the number one team in breakdown in Matt is vulnerable by any means. But he loses to Austin. All of a sudden, there's a handful of teams sitting there with four losses going into division games, and anything can happen in division games.
Yeah,
so
let's go ahead and take a look then at the. We kind of already looked at ours. But we'll look at the projections real quick. So I talked about this, Vinny. I've never seen projections this high. Like the fact that I'm projected to score 90 and still lose by 20 is wild. Your projections are insane for your team. What you're going to score this week, specifically 20 points out of your freaking defense. But let's go on to
how bad are the Titans to the fact that. I mean, even then, it's ridiculously high. Even if we just even out our defenses, it's like, why is it like one? It was 108 when I checked it yesterday, and I thought the same thing. I was like, wow, that is crazy high for projections. I think Mitch also has very high projections this week. Somebody else was breaking the century mark, but
I never get projected over 100. That's what I literally complained about this to Alex last week. I think on Discord or whatever. Or maybe after the podcast or something, and I was like, I am the number one scorer, and I think I've been projected over 90 points once or twice, and that week I lost a mile, so I hate the projections. But
no, I never,
yeah,
any thought into the projections at all. I don't even know where they come from. So, for example, I was trying to figure out like what to do with running backs, and 1 week, CBS's rank of running backs, the guy was like 2 or 3 positions higher, but was projected to score 2 less points. And I was like, that didn't make any sense. Or Dart last week, I think, was CBS ranked 6 to Dak being CBS ranked like 12, and there was like a 8-point discrepancy between the two. So projections make no sense to me on this app. But yeah, actually, I hadn't looked deeply enough, Alex, to see what standings were as far as division records. I always forget about that, and I hate playing in division. Naturally, Bucky Irving's going to come back. DK is going to be healthy. Godwin will be healthy. It's like all of a sudden you're playing like healthy teams. Austin makes Mitch's division really interesting, in my opinion, just because he can beat anybody. I think it's just, when I look at paper, Austin's team is the scariest roster team on paper, in my opinion.
Oh, that's rough for me. I don't know, but the thing about Austin is he's not taking too many losses to where it's like it's not just I think Austin could easily run the table 4 wins at the end, but it's like you'd have to assume I go 1-3. That's I think the more hard part to get on board with.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying that Austin is I don't think he makes the playoffs. It's going to be too little, too late. You can't have.
He's gonna be the number 2 scorer and miss, number 3 scorer and miss the playoffs. You're saying, yeah, it's gonna be rough.
Right. What I
mean, if I've said it once, I've said it a million times. Fantasy D matters. No matter how many times you guys try to be like, no, it doesn't. It absolutely does. Look at the Fantasy D being played up here in my division by the Sharks. 707. It's just amazing. So good. So good. The only other 700 club is Break, and I need Break to win his division. Which, like I said, he's currently winning the division. I need him to win this division so I don't get pied in the face yet again by Mitch on the pie bet for the Sparks First Black family. So I got a lot of pies coming my way.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a world where it's just you and Mitch that make it.
No, for sure there is, but I'm just saying, like, if the season ended today with 4 games left, I'm getting pied in the face for Josh Jacobs being running back 3 instead of because Taylor's running back 1. I'm getting pied in the face with the best record in the league because none of my family members made it. Things like that. So,
how about the fact that Mitch has historic LT season, historic Saquon season, historic Jonathan Taylor season? Is there any other historic running backs in DoD that we're missing?
Yeah, I had the 2013 year I won. I had 2,000 yards with Adrian Peterson.
Yeah. So, chalk it up. If there's going to be a guy that's going to have a career season, it's going to be on Mitch's freaking roster.
Well,
late first round. None of those dudes you drafted early. LT maybe. I think probably the one time you had like a top 1 or 2 pick.
Oh, I had LT twice, I think. Well, I technically had LT like 4 out of the first 7 years we played this league or whatever, and 2 of the years were historical. But let's not forget, you had Sean Alexander, and I gave you a Super Bowl.
It did, and then
So
I
Clayton
didn't want
Portis
to. I
gave
did
Austin
not.
in Super Bowl or Alex? I can't remember.
It gave us both, because then I did not double down on Sean Alexander, who won me the Super Bowl, and then he had his like 27 touchdown season the next year. Because I was all in on him on Green because, Madden, and I'm a homer. So,
yeah, and then Clinton Portis gave someone else it, but anyway. But yeah, I've had Adrian Peterson, Barkley, and now Taylor.
Okay, well, anyway, this is not the best pod content. Let's get back to what we're doing. Let's look at the other projections for this week because these games do really matter. Penguins versus Bears. It doesn't matter for the Bears, but it does matter for the Penguins. The Penguins, like I said, currently leading their division. Looks like Chris won't have Harrison. I think he's already been ruled out. So Chris will have to swap in Ted Rowe or Tess Johnson or Troy Franklin. Not really sure where he's going to go with that. Brake also gets to add Tony Pollard or Kareem Hunt back to his lineup. So not great at the RB2. And Chris not great at wide
Andrews
receiver 2.
as a tight end battle is almost as scary as starting DJ Moore and A.J. Brown as your wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this one go either way. I think Chris's team is better than these projections say they are. So we'll see. But this game definitely matters. Let's move on to the next one. Oh, go ahead.
What's wrong with Harrison? I haven't been able to actually look into anything.
I don't think he's gonna play. He's hurt.
Yeah, he's not. He's appendicitis.
Oh, he is out.
Yeah, he's out.
Appendicitis?
Yeah. He gonzo. So
that's like surgery.
Yeah, gotta have his appendix removed. That'll happen. All right, moving on. Jeez. Dinosaurs versus spark plugs. This game doesn't super matter. I mean, the spark plugs have an outside chance. So I mean, I will say, if Miles does find a way to put one together here, he would eliminate Dad basically from playoff contention. So it does matter for Dad. Miles had a rough year. We talked about it. So I mean, Dad's definitely the favorite to win this game. I have to imagine. Just looking at who he's got on the bench. I mean, Miles has Warren, who's like one of his best players on a bye. So, yeah, I think I don't see a world where Miles wins it, but you never know, right? You never know. Saquon's still projected to score highly, even though he hasn't done well all year, which is kind of interesting. Miles has won the last 2 matchups, and their series is tied 11, so it could go either way. Look at the score of the last meeting, by the way. Look at this.
Oh, no.
So, hopefully
How do people get wins like that? I'm so jealous.
Fantasy D, baby. Hopefully they can break that score barrier. All right, moving on. Got a couple more games to get to. Serial Killers versus Yak of Lamb. This one definitely matters. Both these teams are technically live for the wild card. Cameron's still live to win his division. I think, Mitch, you just kind of talked about it. Sylvie needs a quarterback. She just does not have one. I mean, if CJ Stroud plays, she'll start him, but he's still not a top-tier QB. The rest of her team...
If Sylvie was holding Stafford or Dart, I would be inclined to pick her as a wild card contender. Not even joking.
I will say Cam does get Mahomes back, although Mahomes is playing the Broncos, so maybe he'll start Mariota, who has a much better matchup. We'll see. I don't know how you bench Mahomes at this point, but you never know.
His passing rank is first, meaning he's gotten the most points from his QB on the year. I don't think you're benching Mahomes.
Well, yeah, but he has Mariota was a baller, man. Look at Mariota's stats. 22 points this week. Yeah, I'm kidding.
Wait, he did start Mariota against me? Oh, well, whatever. Yeah, Sylvie should win this.
All right, moving on. Avengers versus Luis. Luis, heavy favorite right now. Luis is still live for some things, even though he's pretty far out. But you never know. Mitch, on the other hand, I mean, he can kind of clinches the division if you win and Dad loses. So, game's more important for you than I'd say for Luis, just based on basic math. But it does look like his squad has the edge on yours. Especially,
it bothers me. It's predictions. Like, there is only 2 defenses that have a 10-point average or 3 or whatever. I forget. And the Seahawks are like 11 points a week, and they're getting 7. Like, all my guys are projected to go under their average this week. All of them. Just don't understand. Like, how can you project Rashee Rice just because he has a bad matchup against what's his name, the corner, who's freaking really good? Don't get me wrong. What's his name? Not Singletary, but what's his name? Oh my gosh, what's the Broncos corner? Broncos corner.
Patrick
He's like
Surtain?
infinitely better than. Yeah, Patrick Surtain. He's like infinitely better. So I get you're like projecting based off like matchups and stuff, but like it's just wild. I want to know who's doing the projections or what algorithm, and they need to change it.
I think what would help Mitch's team this week is if he trades Jalen Waddle for Travion Henderson. I think that would be very beneficial towards icing and sealing a playoff position.
all right, I don't know. Well, I mean, he's not going to start him, right? You're gonna bench Waddle for Flowers, right, Mitch?
As of if the games were today, Waddle would be starting, but it's not 100%. I'm strongly debating Zay, and probably still might start Zay.
So again, not considering T. Higgins, but just don't want to trade him to me. Got it. Can't just give me the stack.
Higgins will be on my team until the end, until Sunday of week 14. Then he won't be on my team anymore.
Wow.
I mean, I offered to trade if you want to do the trade, but it's not good for airtime. We can talk about it later.
All right.
I'm projected to get 71 points, Alex. It's just so disrespectful. It's so many levels.
Dude, you're starting RJ Harvey and Amari DiMercado, man. You can't start those 2 guys and expect to have high predictions.
Really? You can't? But other people are projected to score 90.
Amari DiMercado had 4 carries last week, Mitch.
Okay,
4.
let's look at the average running back. Okay, not this matchup because these guys are stacked teams. But go back and look at any of the other scheduled matchups. They have like Diggs is projected to get the same as Waddle. Like, what are these projections? Like, all right, go on.
My favorite thing about these projections is Mitch is projected to score 40 points less than my team, and the only difference is JT's on a bye. So apparently JT is his whole team.
Thank you, Vinny. Apparently, being number 1 record in points for just having JT on a bye, I'm going to score 40 points lower than everyone else. But people forget I win when he has 5 points.
The one game this year that happened? Don't act like that happens a lot.
Okay, well, Amari DiMercado will get me 5, and I'll be fine. I'm just kidding. I'll probably get crushed. I'll probably lose and cry and be like, yay, Jonathan Taylor's back. All right. This is preview now.
All right, and now, so this one, this shaping up to be the game of the week, this one has the biggest implications because
for sure,
in a world where I win and Matt loses, that makes my division gap much bigger, and more importantly, it makes the wild card a lot more open if that were to happen. Or even if I lose, honestly, because like as long as Matt loses, because then that would mean Vinny would win, right? So like it makes the wild card so much more open. It also keeps Austin alive. So when you go through and look at this, I mean, Darnold has a much tougher matchup than May, so that's probably not looking great there. James Cook has been boom or bust this year. DeAndre Swift has been playing well, but so has Rico Dowdle. But John Robinson's obviously great. The wide receivers, I mean, all four of these guys are absolute monsters. So this is if they combine for only 40, which is what they're projected, I'll be surprised. Both these tight ends are absolute monsters. And the kickers are kickers. And then the defenses are good. I think obviously the Rams D is probably the lesser one here just because they're playing Seattle. But yeah, I mean, these are two really good teams, and this match can have a lot of effect on the standings.
Yeah, I think
if you guys had to pick it right now, who are you taking? Sorry, go ahead.
I'm taking, if I had to pick right now, I'll probably take Austin just because I think his team's on a little bit of a heater. But yeah, I think, no offense to Matt as a listener, but if Matt's team loses this week, playoffs become a lot more interesting across the board. If Matt wins, I think it just comes down to who wins divisions, right? And Matt pretty much locks up wild card. So I think the whole league is kind of rooting for Austin this week.
Yeah, I mean, because if Matt wins, even regardless of what happens in my match, that puts Matt at 8 wins, with 3 to play, and you know the most other teams are going to be at is going to be, well, from this division, like it pretty much eliminates this whole division, right? Yeah, this whole division gets eliminated if Matt were to win. This one, Cameron would have an outside shot because he has a draw, but realistically, it honestly make it where the only people left vying for the wild card would be whoever loses between you two, and then the two of us. So yeah, Matt losing makes the wild card a lot more open than if he were to win.
Was he starting at QB? Scroll up, sorry.
He's currently starting Sam Darnold, but he also, I forget who, he has someone else on his roster as well. He has Brock Purdy on his roster as well, but Brock is practicing, but that's a real nebulous situation. We never know. All right, well, we went around the league. We had a lot of news. Honestly, the podcast was about to end when Vinny joined, and then it kind of went off the rails because Vinny came. But anyone have any final thoughts or anything they want to talk about before we wrap this up?
No, but I did want to say, and I know you guys have probably already talked about this at least a little bit, but I am so proud of the Dallas Mavericks owner. But at the same time, he for sure signed off on that trade. It's a little bit of a cop-out. That's all I wanted to say.
Oh, did something happen this week in the NBA? We didn't talk about that in this sports podcast that we do.
I know you guys probably talked about the fact Nico Harrison got fired, but I just wanted to say that my take on that was just that the owner being like, I'm so sorry, we're firing Nico. I'm like, there's no way Nico just traded Luka without like consulting the owner of the Dallas Mavericks. So it's just a cop-out.
I think you should listen to the beginning of our podcast, and I think I literally said the same thing, right, Alex?
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, the ownership's definitely, like I said, they did this to appease the fans, but I think fans with half a brain are going to know that this isn't enough.
You need to have someone to hate. Someone has to be the bad guy. Nico's going to be the GM of the hate, and then you just pay him under the table. I wonder how much money he paid him to trade Luka.
Well, here's the thing though. If the Mavericks still suck tomorrow, Nico's not there to blame anymore. I'm going to blame you. Not you guys, but the ownership. You know what I mean? So like, until you get me Luka back, as long as you still suck, you're the problem. One last thing I did want to talk about: never give up in fantasy football. We haven't been talking about this a lot on the pod, just because like we've got other stuff going on to cover. You can see how long the episodes get, but you should never give up. This team started out 1-5. This was our money league team that we drafted together. We're currently only a game out of fourth place, which is the playoffs.
Look at our points for.
And more importantly, we play next week in a very important rematch. Go Ducks.
Go Ducks.
That's right.
Go Ducks.
Go Ducks, who's currently sitting a game ahead of us. If we beat Go Ducks,
us out for the playoffs,
and then Big Johnson plays Chase happens, the other team's ahead of us. So by default, one of them has to lose. So unless we blow it, which knock on wood, I hope we don't. We may very well. If one of these teams loses because they play each other, and we get our revenge against Go Ducks, that would move us up into fourth place, which is in the playoffs. So we are still alive. That's why you never give up. You battle back. We're currently on a 3-game win streak. Now. Like I said, yeah. So we were 1-6, and you just never give up. And like, yeah, look at the points. Like our points is fine. Like sure, there's 3 big hitters, but we're right here with everybody else, right? So Yeah.
Did we drop Pacheco?
Do what now?
Did we drop Pacheco?
Yeah, we dropped Pacheco. We picked up Dalton Schultz. We picked up what am I looking at? Oh, that's not our team. Sorry. No, I did the league leaders again.
Yeah.
My team. We picked up Schultz and we picked up somebody else. Can't remember.
Yeah, that's a really good team.
For all the listeners, the fact that we still own Pacheco does not mean we're bad at fantasy. I promise.
Yeah, we were desperate for. I don't know. We didn't. There wasn't really anything worth picking up. So, we picked up Flacco. That's what we picked up Flacco to start this week, and we picked up Schultz to start with this week. Obviously, I'll have to monitor whether or not Schultz is going to play.
Yeah, timeout. Our team is really good, except for like maybe an elite quarterback. But other than that, our team's pretty stacked.
You mean Joe Burrow, who's coming back in Week 14, baby? Woo woo!
Do we have to pick up Burrow then because we have Flacco? So it's like if Flacco gets benched, we can talk about this on the.
We can wrap up the pod, but yeah. So anyway, I wanted to show that you should never give up in fantasy. Don't be the guy that quits on your league. It makes it more fun for everyone if everyone keeps playing, and you never know, right? We're still in it. We started 1-6, and we're literally still in it. So thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Say goodbye, peeps.
Peace.